There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
We are live. It is Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Squared Circle Digest underway. I am Sean Stanley. Hopefully, Frankie Fresco will be joining us here in a moment. If not, we will. We got enough to talk about here tonight. Hopefully, everybody's had a good week. It's been a rainy one here in South Florida. If you are here in South Florida, hopefully everything is well with you. We're a little flooded in the front yard, but other than that, can't complain compared to where everybody else is. So hopefully you and yours are safe here in the South Florida area. Not sure where you're watching or listening from. So hopefully everything is well with you. But we will keep you occupied at least for the next hour, hour and a half or so. We'll see if Frankie Fresco joins us. If not, we will, again, a lot to talk about. We will get started. We got Vamos Gatos 89 and Terry and my dad in right now. And of course, if you're watching us on X, we appreciate that as well. Don't forget, jump over to the YouTube channels. You have mine at Stanley Media House Network. Hit that subscribe button. Then also Frankie Fresco can hit the subscribe button. Check out him and his brother's work tomorrow as well. So interesting things going on right now in the WWE, as there are talks of departures. And one we saw kind of carried out a little bit last night, being Ricochet. And the other name that is being circulated around right now is Chad Gable. Both sit on the possibility of basically leaving WWE. My understanding is Ricochet has already given his basically, notice that he will be not extending his contract or not re-signing when his contract comes up in the summer. You saw a little bit of that play out last night, I believe, on TV, where Braun Breaker takes him out at the car. His fiance, who is also the ring announcer, gets in the ambulance with them and is carried away. The interesting one is Chad Gable. Now, there's talk about, his name's been circulated around at AEW and others, but there's also a lot of people that believe that he may have already re-signed with WWE. And as everything's playing out, and one of the things that we like to talk about is if you take a look at what's really happening, Chad Gable has become pretty focal point on WWE programming right now, especially with the Alpha Academy and the way everything's playing out. But also, it's playing out to where if Chad Gable says he doesn't want to re-sign, what better way to take him off TV but then buy the three that he's been, building up and killing these last few weeks of TV. So I don't know if WWE is kind of writing it to see how it's going to play out. If Chad Gable does re-sign with him. But the interesting thing is, and another thing that also on the Ricochet thing, which is what Bully Ray on Busted Open, talked about. If you didn't get a chance, go to Busted Open on X and hear the full thing, because I'm going to paraphrase it here, is if you want to get Ricochet over without having to do any more moves or anything else in WWE, have it play out to where Braun Breaker starts coming out and bullying the ring announcer. I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, man. Damn it. I'm drawing a blank on her name, so I apologize. And she's a hell of a ring announcer too. Man, why am I drawing a blank? We talk about her every week. So now Braun Breaker goes over to her, just stands over her, staring down at her, this and that, and of course she plays, the side one keeping her head down. He just takes a finger right under her chin, lifts it up, says, "Look at me in the eyes. I'm the man that took your fiance out." Then let it sit. You can let it build up for a couple of weeks and then have Ricochet return. Again, if he resigns, all indications right now are pointing that he will not be resigning. But if he did resign, they have also, as I was talking about with the Chad Gable instance, they have painted themselves in a pretty good little corner here to where you could bring Ricochet back in, as well as you have just written him off of TV as well. So if it does change around and Ricochet does resign, you now have an angle right there for him to come back into and actually probably elevate him a little bit. Although I really don't know what they're doing with Braun Breaker. I thought they were going to bring him in and have him be, this badass monster. And they do to a point, but I feel like, I understand Dragunov's a great opponent and this and that, but I feel like if you're building him to become that Goldberg-esque character, he shouldn't be having all the problems he's having. And it was a great match last night. Don't get me wrong. But again, if you're building up that character to be the face of the Netflix era, as some have said, or whatever you're going to do, I don't understand why they are doing so much keeping him working with Dragunov and also, and then that stance also with Ricochet. That is the one thing where it's going to be interesting to see how things play out there and how they go with that. Two interesting developments right now. One, I believe, is probably not going to re-sign. The Chad Gable one is interesting because a lot of people think he has re-signed with the way the angle's going. But I also think that WWE has written it to where they have an out if he decides not to sign. And then if he signs, they keep him strong so that he can continue on with what they're doing with the Alpha Academy. And the same with Ricochet. Yeah, he got taken out by Braun Breaker. But if he does return, as the Bully Ray example states, now you've elevated him up as well. Samantha Irvin, thank you, Terry. And No Doubt, I appreciate you guys. No Doubt is in with the SCD. And yes, Samantha Irvin, she's done some things also. Her voice is just tremendous, man. Tremendous. And I can't believe people don't like the fact that she's like Chelsea. I think those little things like that add to the characters, man. It makes them better. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved Howard Finkel back in the day. I loved, Gary Michael Capetta, the voice with WCW, the pay-per-views back in the day. Of course, you got Bruce Buffer in them, but I'm talking about the regular ring announcer for WCW. I loved all those voices, but I like what Samantha Irvin does because it brings relatability to some of these characters, and it allows you to, and kudos to Pat McAfee too, by the way, last night. I don't know if you saw that. Pat McAfee got involved and had to be the ring announcer. And I know he said, the big, bad, handsome man from Scotland or something. And now that's the way Drew McIntyre always wants to be introduced now. So that's going to be interesting to see how, again, all this plays out. Because also, again, with Samantha Irvin leaving and the way she reacted with the Braun Breaker thing, I feel like regardless regardless of what they're going to do, somehow I believe Samantha Irvin is going to play into this. Even if Ricochet does not sign back up, his contract is through the summer of 2024. I don't know the exact month. So July, August, somewhere around there. So maybe he does come back and then Braun Breaker finishes him off in a match. So maybe that's what they're building him up to. But if they're doing all that, you're going to have to, you're building Ricochet up to just let him walk away. So I believe that was his write-off of TV. If, in fact, he does not re-sign, then if he re-signs, I believe he's going to get the hero save on Samantha Irvin during a Raw when Braun Breaker's probably staring her down or whatever, maybe a couple weeks of staring her down. And I really, truly did like what Bully Ray was saying on Busted Open. If you have a chance, make sure you check it out. It's like about 1:30 long, and he kind of sits there and plans it all out. And I don't understand why he's not doing more with pro wrestling. I mean, it's just amazing to me. No Doubt says Pat McAfee caught his pencil like 3 times. That dude, he's amazing, man. He's amazing. No Doubt says no way he leaves. He gets to travel with his wife, and he's only 34. Yeah, but No Doubt, man. Here's the thing with Ricochet, man. He could do so much more, and there's a lot out there for him. And again, I understand the WWE way. The WWE is not going to let you go out there and put yourself at risk to where they're going to pay you to sit home. That's not the WWE way. They'll let you do, some controlled chaos and things like that, but they're not going to have you go out there and be what he was. If you've watched videos of Ricochet or when he was Grand Puma in Underground Luchador or Lucha Underground, whatever it was, when you've watched him and what he can do, if he goes on the independents, there are some big time matchups and he could probably make a good living. Now I get it, Samantha, and I don't know how long Samantha Irvin's contract is. Again, so how long does she have left? Will he re-up with that? I get what you're saying. He has it both ways, but also say, and if I'm Ricochet, I don't necessarily sign with AEW. I don't sign with TNA. I leave it open, man. I try to do the Matt Cardona way and just, again, few can do that, but Matt Cardona has put a blueprint out there, and Ricochet has freaking athletic ability out the freaking yin. So I believe he could do that. I believe he could kind of take the blueprint and put on there and also go and, go to New Japan for a little bit, make some money there, come back, maybe do a match on AEW, not necessarily sign a contract, but do a couple matches against Ospreay, against Danielson, against guys like that. And then boom, he's gone again. And he can do things like that. But again, if he wants, he knows how it is in WWE. He knows what he's going to get. But maybe with this, if he comes in and he saves Samantha Irvin, he's the knight in the shining armor, does that change the way the fans look at Ricochet? Does that boost him up? Does that put him a little bit level up? Again, because I feel like he's right there at the top mid tier, right around that area is where he's kind of stayed at. I thought a couple times they're going to push him to the moon. They did not. So I can understand if there's some frustrations there because there's a lot that he can do. And again, they put the speed title on him, and then, of course, the speed title gets taken off of him. Then it comes out that he's given his notice and he's not going to re-sign. So that's the reason the title was taken off of him. And that's the way WWE does work. So again, if you look at everything that's going on with how this is playing out, they've written him off TV. They took away the title that was the speed title from him. So now it's just letting his contract expire. If you watch it and you look at it to play out, that's kind of the route that this is taken. Let's see. Josh is in. What up, Sean and Frankie? Well, I'm here. Hopefully, Frankie will join us here momentarily. This guy, man. Yeah, I tell you what. No, always, man. I appreciate you guys and everybody on X as well. If you do get the opportunity, jump on over here to YouTube. Check us out at the Stanley Media House Network or at Frankie Fresco. And now we've got, that is the my takes on the departures, okay? Now, if we go to NXT Battleground, that was the pay-per-view that was on Sunday night. I don't know how many of you watched it. I thought it was a very good pay-per-view. I put a poll out, and I think the fans kind of hit it. They put it at a B. I think it was a B. I mean, I love the North American Women's Championship match. I loved Jordan Grace and Roxanne Perez. You know, there was a lot of good on there. Ethan Page and Trick Williams, I don't know why that main evented. I thought something was going to happen. This is where I think NXT made a mistake on this for this reason. And this is playing the results by me. Because when they went last, I thought somebody was going to come out. I thought something was going to happen during the main event, which is the reason why they were put that on that place in the card. And it didn't happen. It was a good match. And again, it was Ethan Page letting his ego get out of check. Trick Williams catches him with the running knee, 1, 2, 3, real quick. They're dancing around. Ethan Page is just staring him down the whole time. I'm sure they're going to play this out somehow when you watch it, you know, on NXT this week, tonight, here at 8 o'clock. But the Jordan Grace, Roxanne Perez, to me, if that was just going to be that match, you should have had the two ladies main event, man. I just felt like there was so much more in that match. It was the TNA champion against the NXT champion. I loved how they played out the finish, you know, and then Dana Brooke, or Ash by Elegance, returns to NXT. She's now with TNA. They brought her in. And then possibly there is a TNA Open Challenge by Jordan Grace this Friday at the TNA Against All Odds pay-per-view. That's in Chicago, I believe. So it'll be interesting to see the NXT TNA. Supposedly there's some TNA stars in Orlando tonight. We'll see if they keep playing this around. I honestly, man, when I saw pictures of, you know, the president and the chief content officer, Gail Kim was there, Jonathan Gresham, which of course is the husband of Jordan Grace. When all of them were there, I was like, this could turn into more than a partnership. I felt like it had that feeling to where there was going to be an announcement that maybe TKO is going to purchase TNA. Because remember, Scott D'Amore was there. I believe he wanted to purchase it, and they didn't want to sell it to him. And then he was let go. At least that is, again, the story that I heard going around. Don't know 100% true or not. But if they're still trying to sell, I mean, if you joined TNA's roster with NXT roster, now you get that third brand, which I desperately thought Triple H would do. But then if you bring the TNA roster over, and again, this is the interesting thing. You have Ziggler on that roster. You have Mustafa Ali on that roster. You have the gentleman from the Rascals that was with NXT. All of them have just been let go from WWE, like within the last, you know, I think they all served their 90 days and they've been out. So within the last year, all of them have been let go. And now there's talk of maybe them coming back to NXT and everything. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch play out. And I'm here for it, man. But I did think that was a misstep after results, you know, letting it play out. I feel like the women should have main evented Battleground instead of Trick Williams. I get it. You want to send everybody, you know, whoop that Trick, and as the pay-per-view closes and everything like that. But I really feel like they missed something there, because I honestly thought something else was going to happen because they were main eventing. I thought it was going to be something more than what it was. It was just a good match, and the pay-per-view went off. And then also, I guess Sexy Red was arrested the morning before NXT Battleground because of some fracas in the New Jersey airport. Apparently, it caught all of the NXT officials off guard today when that footage was released and that she was arrested. So it's going to be interesting, although they said it should not affect them doing anything else with her throughout the time frame right now. So then we've got, now we're going to get in a couple things here with WWE, okay? All of them kind of leading up to Clash at the Castle, and I'm going to give you my predictions on that and the Clash at the Castle. The first thing I want to talk about is how Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles on SmackDown, they came out, they were going to, Cody Rhodes waited for him in the back the whole SmackDown. Then finally AJ arrives. They get in the ring. AJ is like, all I wanted was a match. And then Cody's like, all you wanted was a match? You got it. And then he said, but I'm going to make you say I quit. And then just like that, we've got an I quit match now at Clash of the Castle. And I find this very interesting because I go back to, I picture everything that happened. I can't remember what pay-per-view it was. It was on the movie that they did. It was Mankind versus The Rock. And The Rock kept hitting him with the steel chair. And he was bleeding profusely, sorry. Easy for me to say. I think I talk for a living. And then you hear voices saying, I quit. And it wasn't Mick Foley doing it because he was knocked out. But it made a voice sound like he said, I quit. And I kind of think that, can this be in the works in this match? Can they take the title off Cody? I just think that with the buildup and everything that we've already had, there's no way Cody loses this match. To make it an I quit match, like, I don't see Cody saying I quit. The only way I can see them doing anything is by ultimately, as I said, with the Mankind, where they played like a thing through the crowd, through the stadium, where he was saying I quit, but he wasn't even talking because he was knocked out from the chair shots. Could they do the same thing with Cody in Scotland at Clash at the Castle? I'm asking you guys this now. So if you're, everybody in the chat, does Cody win this one, or does Cody lose this I quit match to AJ Styles? Because when I look at this and I look at everything that's going on, I say there is no way Cody Rhodes loses this match. No way. No way, no how. They should actually make I'm sorry, no doubt. I'm trying to read this here real quick. They should make the loser actually quit and leave the brand. There was talk that might happen, like with AJ losing, and then he goes. But I feel like there's been a layer added onto the AJ Styles character now that it's only going to be 2 weeks, and then now he's going to go in. He's going to say I quit, and he's going to be done. I don't know. They've kind of, it's odd right now looking at it and just trying to make sense of it. But, for me watching wrestling so long, I look at it and I go, from the build they had with Cody Rhodes, there's no way they take the title off of him this quickly. And then now you put a stipulation of I quit. And again, I think back to that Mankind match. But even if it was like, say you're in a cage, okay, and you're trying to get out, and the OC or the Good Brothers, whatever you're calling them these days, are there to keep you from getting out of the cage, and then somehow AJ Styles gets out to the floor and cheats you that way, I can understand the thinking, but then I would have to go back and be like, all that build to get you a title, you defend 3 times and you lose? After everything with The Rock and Roman to build it up, I just feel like he's also in that position now to where nobody's taking the title off of him until he wrestles The Rock or comes back to Roman or whatever they're going to do there. It's very interesting to see. And everybody says Cody wins all day. Cody wins. And I'll give you my picks in a little bit, but I am definitely leaning that way because I just cannot see it going any other way. The other thing I want to talk about was the bloodline took a serious turn, I thought, this week with a couple things. Solo anoints the infamous Tongaloa as, a member of the bloodline. Then they put Kevin Owens through the table. You're seeing, and they did that also with the Shield's powerbomb, if you didn't notice that. He didn't use the spike. He used the spear. Like, I feel like now they're starting to put that layer on to where it's little subtle messages sent out to Roman Reigns. And now it's just, when do we see Roman come back? And again, I think, what Frankie said the other time, like maybe SummerSlam, maybe right. We may be a month away before he's even back on TV leading up to SummerSlam. Or does he come back and he's just a mystery partner? Because another little egg that was dropped was when, KO's the one getting put through the tables, right? So what happens if Jimmy Uso comes back and is his partner? And then they're like, well, we'll have one more, a mystery partner at SummerSlam. So it'll be the Bloodline versus Jimmy Uso, Kevin Owens. If they worked, I'm throwing things out here. And if that mystery partner ends up being Roman Reigns. Because remember what Paul Heyman said to Kevin Owens. He said, Roman Reigns respected you as a challenger to his title. Solo Sikoa does not respect anybody. So there's some respect there, or at least it's being told there. So now there's a little nugget that possibly, and again, I don't know how it's going to play out because now there's also, I can never pronounce his name correctly. Hikuleo is now also, his contract expired on June 9th at New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion's pay-per-view. And now he is also now coming to the WWE. And he is, I believe, Tama Tonga's brother. And he was also over in Japan with them. So now another member of the Samoan dynasty coming in. And we still haven't seen Jacob Fatu. So it's going to be very interesting to see how many more layers they can put on this, because they are making it interesting again after it kind of fizzled a little bit. Now with Solo, it really feels like it took Solo a while to get into the character that they needed him to for this to kind of take off. And now I think it's there. I think he's starting to get more comfortable in this role. It definitely shows on TV, the way his movements and everything, like he's really embracing it now. And now you're starting to see this angle take another little bit of a turn. And man, dude, I'm very interested to see how they do with the Bloodline. Let's see. Catfly says the Bloodline is growing. EA Minutes is back. No Doubt says the Bloodline storyline has me super interested. It does. It got me back in last week. I will tell you now, I was kind of like, this is starting to get, I don't know which way it's going. But I saw something in Solo clicked. And I don't know if it was set up that way through the development of the character that WWE was telling him the steps to take to get there. So it was kind of a build. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, now this week it clicks. So that they were doing the progression of the character. But you saw a whole new Solo Sikoa this week on SmackDown. And I am here for that. The other thing I want to talk about, LIV and Dom, the whole thing. There's a room key involved now. There's she ends up getting straddling him. Zelina Vega goes after her. Like, I don't know what else they're going to do with this damn thing, man. I really do not know where they're going to go with this thing, man. Because I almost feel like before I thought, okay, Liv's going to destroy the Judgment Day from the inside out. Now it's kind of only focused on Dominic Mysterio. And again, you saw the other times where she was talking to JD. She showed up in a car with Finn and all this stuff. Now it's more focused toward Dom. And I don't know if that means that Rhea's getting closer to returning. So now it's trying to get down to one thing. And listen, I ultimately think what's going to happen, honestly, I think Dom turns on Rhea and goes with Liv Morgan. I really think this is going to be, and again, this might be the opportunity for WWE to get Rhea Ripley when she returns away from Dom and probably away from the Judgment Day. I don't know what they're doing with the Judgment Day. Judgment Day is holding down Damian Priest and his title reign right now. I mean, you get a match with Finn Balor last night where if Drew McIntyre wins, then Judgment Day is banned. Judgment Day interferes. Drew McIntyre takes care of everybody, still turns around and beats Finn Balor. Like, I mean, that's Undisputed Kingdom in AEW. That's what they're doing with Judgment Day. Like it just doesn't make sense. You had them at the top, and you're telling me one injury changed the whole complexion? I got to rethink that one. Let's see. Josh says, Sean, did you hear about Hulk Hogan doing a meet and greet? Yeah. It's in Hollywood. I know he's doing one at his Hogan's shop in Tampa area. I didn't know it was there's one here in Hollywood. I have to check into that. I did not know that. Selena Vega, Braun Strowman, that was hilarious. Cat for Life. I re-X'd that or retweeted that, whatever the hell it is. Jeff Calderon is in. How we doing, sir? And then, yeah, please, everybody hit that like button. Appreciate you guys. It's going to be like China Eddie Guerrero. See, but remember, I think it was Eddie got caught with like the girls in the locker room, and then China called it off and things like that. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen in the first match with Liv is Dom's going to be in her corner, and that's where the turn's going to be, so that Liv beats her one time, and then Rhea's going to just tear through. That's just the way I think it. Because again, when she returns, Rhea's going to be just kick ass, man. Like she should never have lost the title. Man. Like that's the thing. It's like it's going to be so interesting to see where they go. And I agree. I think the as more went on, and I remember I seen a video of somebody, and I cannot remember. I wish now I remember who it was on X, but they put the Eddie and China and Rhea and Dom kind of side by side. And of course, we know Dom in the documentary for Eddie says, a lot of the mullet and a lot of the movements he does, he's taken from Eddie. So yeah, you see it, but then you see it even more when you watch the interactions of the two, Rhea and Dom, China and Eddie. You really see it just play out, man. It's just very interesting. The other thing I want to cover, and this is one of the guys I covered at the beginning, because again, things might be coming to an end for him in WWE, but some people say he has already re-signed, but we will see. Chad Gable, Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title. We watched it again this week. The whole Otis thing has gotten me a little bit perplexed. Chad Gable slaps the shit out of him a couple times, and then he goes crazy and beats up Sami. I don't know where they're going with this, man. I really don't. I almost feel like Otis is going to end up costing Sami the title. I always thought that it would be the other way around, him turning and Gable, costing Gable the match, and then it'd be Gable against, Otis for a little bit. But I'm now more thinking it's going to end up being Chad Gable winning, and then somehow he's going to be able to keep Otis the way he has him now to be his kind of monster to where whenever he needs to take somebody out, he just slaps Otis around and then Otis attacks that guy. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in Scotland, because here's the thing. We'll know by the end of Saturday if Chad Gable has re-signed. Because if he just goes out there and is just a rag doll and gets thrown around and just makes Sammy look good and Otis look good, I'm going to say more than likely Chad Gable, 85% out the door. But if Chad Gable goes out there and we know the match he can put on with Sammy and everything else, and again, they may give him the title and then have him drop the title on the other day, even if he doesn't resign. You can do whatever. You got a little bit, and it seems to me that Chad Gable, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, his contract ended the beginning of June. So, this is just finishing up things if he hadn't re-signed already. Again, that's the other reason why a lot of people think he's re-signed, because most of the time you don't get this if you're not a contracted, entertainer. So we're going to have to see where that goes. That is the Chad Gable news. And now I got to go to my handy dandy device here to get the Clash at the Castle 24 in Scotland. The latest matches, we're going to start with the WWE Women's Championship, Bayley versus Piper Niven. And also, here's another thing. Piper Niven, hell of a promo. I think they've added and made her a legit contender for Bayley. But again, I look at this and I say, Bayley got the title in April. Bayley does not lose the title in June. I just don't see it. And I don't see Piper versus Nia at SummerSlam. I can see Bayley versus Nia at SummerSlam, which again, remember, Nia winning Queen of the Ring automatically gets the match against Bayley. So with this, I kind of feel like Bayley's going to get the win. And please jump in the chat. If you're on X, throw it in there as well. Let me know who you think is going to win these matches. I got Bayley over Piper Niven. It is the Women's Tag Team Championship triple threat. It is Jade Cargill and, of course, Bianca Belair. It is Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, and then Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I just think Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are your champions until they just say, okay, we want to start fighting each other. That's the way I feel like this is playing out. They're going to be dominant tag team champions until one turns on the other, and then they will start feuding. Until then, your tag team champions are Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Come at me if you want, but there's nobody, no tag team right now that is on that level of those two. Let's see. No Doubt says Piper wins. The Piper angle is to please. Yeah, no, 100%. She gets the chance there, but kudos to WWE though, and kudos to Piper Niven and everything else for she was given the opportunity, but she took full well of that opportunity. That promo on SmackDown and everything she's done leading up has made her look like a legit contender and a person that could take the title from Bayley. It's not just one of those things where, if you're not watching, you just look at it and go, oh, Bayley's going to win it. It's going to be a better match and a better story than I gave it the legs to have at the beginning. After that tag team match, it's going to be Sami Zayn, Chad Gable. Just kind of went through that a minute ago. I really think Chad Gable leaves with the Intercontinental Championship. I believe he is re-signed. I believe Otis is going to be his little puppet for a while, and then finally he's going to turn on him. I don't know what it's going to take, because if somebody's slapping me in the face like that, dude, kiss my ass, man. Kiss my ass. I'm putting my foot up your ass. The undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles. Kind of discussed that a little bit ago. This is an I Quit match. I don't see any way Cody Rhodes, one, utters the words I quit, or two, WWE thinks it's a good idea to take the title off of him. Just my 2 cents. Then you have Drew McIntyre against Damian Priest. Now, here's the interesting thing, and No Doubt says he's sticking with Sammy. Look, man, that match there really is a toss-up. Either way, even if he has re-signed, that doesn't mean that he's going to get the Intercontinental Championship. I just feel like it's been going that way to where Chad Gable gets it, and then Sammy goes back chasing it again, or you know, because Sammy again will go back after it. I believe he's going to get cheated out of it, and then I think Sammy's better chasing titles than he is once he wins the title. No Doubt says Gable takes his abuse to a new level after Clash. We see the eventual breakup of Chad and at this point, man, I feel like that should have already happened. I mean, I get it. It's a show. It's all this stuff, but like, how far is too far with the abuse? All right, and then now we got Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, and as I said, this one interests me in the fact that we've heard nothing from CM Punk. Hell, we've heard more from CM Punk on NXT Battleground than we've heard from him in the last couple weeks. I don't know if this is on purpose to where you kind of forget about him, and then all of a sudden, boom, he pops up in Scotland and costs Drew McIntyre. This whole time, I thought, look, when you look at this, Gunther won King of the Ring, but Gunther is over on Raw. So so he would get. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
No. So what I'm saying is, I'm talking Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. These are my predictions on what I'm talking about, Clash of the Castle.
Okay.
So I think CM Punk is going to cost Drew, because I don't see Drew versus Gunther at SummerSlam. And the only reason I say that is because if CM Punk is healed, I see CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, which makes this match seem like this is a setup for it. You're going to screw Drew McIntyre. But then here's the interesting thing on this. Drew has been playing this as the babyface. And last night on Raw, I don't know if you saw it, but Drew was the babyface. He's clapping hands. He's doing all this stuff. You're in his hometown. If you have CM Punk go and screw him in his hometown, does that turn CM Punk? Or does it not matter because it's in Scotland and it comes back to the U.S. and then it'll be at SummerSlam in Cleveland? It will definitely be CM Punk, the face, against Drew McIntyre, the heel. So, and then the other thing that goes with it, as I just said, is they've really not mentioned a lot of CM Punk. You saw him more on the NXT Battleground pay-per-view. Then you've seen him really on WWE TV. And Drew McIntyre has not played into as much as he was. So I don't know where they're going with this, but I'm going to go Damian Priest retains and at least heads to SummerSlam to take on Gunther. What say you, Mr. Fresco?
I'm still trying to wake up, man.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry.
No Doubt even says, "Wake up from nap time, Frank."
I fell asleep, gentlemen and ladies. I apologize. And then I looked at my thing on my watch. I'm like, oh my god, it's 7:30. I'm like, oh man, Sean is gonna be mad at me.
You know what he did? He knew that. Okay, after my predictions, he knew AEW was next, and he's like, "Hey, I'll just pop in for AEW. That's all I need to do."
So that's all that matters. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. I'm not even ready. I just grabbed whatever I could. I don't even have my light up. Everything is messed up.
You always come in great, man. You come in great.
I have no idea
what.
And
for those that are watching, joining in now, Frankie Fresco has joined us, as I said. And if you're watching us on X, again, we appreciate it. But please jump over to the YouTube channels, Stanley Media House Network for myself, and Frankie Fresco for Mr. Frankie Fresco.
I'm just upset. I mean, unfortunately, what happened was I heard that my good friend, the guy who eats all the hot dogs, is not going to compete this 4th of July this year.
He's been banned. But here's my question to you on this. And then again, we're a well-rounded show here.
What have I missed today? I missed a lot, right?
A lot, buddy. Dude, man, 30 minutes of just nonstop WWE excitement talking. But Dude, how do you go? You're in the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. How do you go get sponsored by a different hot dog? And what other hot dog are you getting sponsored by?
A vegan hot dog too. That's why they stopped him, because he went vegan on us.
Oh man, dude, that's
it's a disrespect to the hot dog. Where we don't know what the hot dog is made of.
You put water in that and it disintegrates. It's like drinking a shake now.
That's disgusting when they put water in damn hot dogs. Pretty nasty. And the bread. Oh man, it gets all like mushy and stuff. It's disgusting. I apologize, guys, that I fell asleep. But I'm here. I'm here for the AEW. That's all that matters.
He is here for the AEW. All right, and we're gonna jump into AEW right now. Again, I told you the show is gonna be a little bit quicker probably because there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but there's not a lot of like long, poignant, drawn out things as you know we do. All right. Let's jump into AEW. Let's get started with the big news. MJF returns AEW Dynamite. He returns to AEW TV. And the interesting thing, he cuts the promo. But here's what I find interesting, Frankie. And again, I get it. This is funny because I always hit AEW for doing stuff, and then now they put him against Roosh, which isn't bad. It's a good first thing, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. Is that what you want MJF's first opponent to be? Roosh?
No, and I thought they did something wrong again. I felt like, I've told you guys this before, that I always believe MJF is the highest, most spotlight type of superstar that AEW has. I'm not happy at the fact that they put him at the very beginning of the show. They should have gone ahead and put him at the end of the show, or somewhere in the middle, because somewhere around there you would still keep an audience for the show. I believe that once you see, a lot of people just tune into MJF and then they leave. Like I was watching it on X and people were saying
it's the carryover from the other show, and then if they don't see, but see, that's where I think they were hoping, and they probably did get that. But this is the other thing. Like, why would you not like bring them back out again for something else? Like, okay, have him do the promo at the beginning, but then like, I'm not leaving the building. He's gonna answer to me tonight before I leave, or whatever. Just something to where it's like, okay, let me stay in because he's gonna go back to the ring. It's like he did that. They did their little fight, pull apart, and you almost forgot that he was there.
Yeah, it was like in and out. That's it. It's over.
Yeah,
it's just a little bit disappointing. And when you say, "Hey, is it Roosh?" It's okay to be Roosh, but what kind of storyline you could build with that? You can't build the storyline with that. It's just a one-time fight, and that's it. So I think that's eventually what they're gonna do, which is what they typically like to do, and then eventually they'll find a way to move on from him. So. It's just,
and also I think you're right on the one thing too, where earlier you said I think it's gonna be Wardlow is gonna be his first feud. So yeah, I think what might happen in this match is, like at some point Wardlow is gonna hit the ring, and then they'll go into that. Now it didn't say. What was interesting, what I thought with Wardlow was he's kind of been throwing shots at MJF, but not like the Undisputed Kingdom, but like when they were together. So it's very interesting to see if it's even going to be an Undisputed Kingdom thing, or if it's just Wardlow trying to get back into, because he's always like, you costed me my spotlight. He's throwing everything back to MJF from all the stuff that happened. So it'll be interesting to see which way they go with that, man, because I'm very, again, like, look, man, I believe right now AEW is very top heavy. And it's going to be interesting to see because, again, you got Will Ospreay against Swerve. So you got your what is he? He's the international champion, right? Ospreay's the international champion against your heavyweight champion. You're going to have Okada, I'm sure, defending his title somewhere on this show. It just got announced. I think it's going to be Orange Cassidy against Zack Sabre Jr. That kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know what.
Really? He's fighting Zack Sabre Jr. for no reason?
Well, at the pay-per-view at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, no.
There's no build-up. It was just announced. It was just like, it was just sit down on a billboard.
That's weird. That's
there random. You go. So, again, when I look at it, it's like, where would MJF fit in right now? Like, in the thick of things, like, if he comes back in, He's fighting against Okada's got a title, so it wouldn't be him. Ospreay has a title, and he did mention like Ospreay. He mentioned everybody during his promo, so he wasn't, like shying away from anybody. But it's gonna be interesting to see where they go with them and where they land with them, because I don't know, man. It's odd right now. Because when I look at WWE, I can look at storylines and see, okay, I can kind of see where they're heading. With AEW, it's kind of like, I don't know what they're gonna do, man.
Yeah,
maybe that's the way they want it too. I'm not saying anything. Everybody can book however you want to book. It's just, to me, it's like, okay, you've got a champion versus champion match, and it's not even champion versus champion. It's Ospreay going for the heavyweight title.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't tell where they're going, and I get it. It's Forbidden Door. It's one of those pay-per-views that are kind of like, but then why have your AEW guy against your AEW guy? Before, it made sense for Ospreay to take on your heavyweight champion because Ospreay was New Japan. Now Ospreay's AEW, and he's still taking on your heavy. It's like, that's one of the things, like, I don't know where they're going. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say it's wrong until it's to a place where we say, what is going on? But I just feel like they're trying to capitalize on, hey, there are two biggest faces, put them against each other, and let's hope we sell a lot of pay-per-views.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if you spoke about this on the WWE side, but if Ricochet goes over to the AEW world, that there's a way that they could actually maybe put him against MJF, or maybe Ricochet.
I said Ricochet would be smart to just not sign with any big company and just keep getting money for one-offs and have good matches, show up and verse Will Ospreay, show up and verse Bryan Danielson, go to New Japan, and kind of do the Matt Cardona way and just make money that way, because I feel like once you get tied down to a company, you're just tied down, man. I mean, and to me, look, I get it. AEW might, I mean, again, I don't know what the money situation is or how much they're going to offer them, but like, I've seen everybody that goes over there. Like, what's any different than where he was at?
I mean, the only thing that's different between WWE and AEW for Ricochet, in my opinion, is his level of like skill when it comes to the wrestling. I think we'll have the old Ricochet where he's able to do more high flying moves, and I think he likes that a lot. That's the only thing.
But then now here's my question to you, and this is what I said. We've watched it now, and now Dax Harwood come out and said, I wrestled injured, and now I'm going to be out for a while, and this and that. Like, I just, man, at some point, AEW is going to have to put a little bit of, you can't keep having everybody on the sidelines, man.
Yeah, but remember what we said. It feels like last week we spoke about it, was that it looks like Tony Khan is a little bit desperate when it comes to what he delivers to the fans on TV, because if he was to go and put like a Joe Schmo to go up against maybe, an MJF or a Swerve or something like that, you're probably not going to get any good ass ratings. And you're having a hard time getting ratings when you have like a Swerve versus an Orange Cassidy on Dynasty and stuff like that. So it just doesn't look like he's going to change that. So again, I don't know to what extreme changes AEW can do. And the other thing is, remember, when you go to AEW, he likes to give a lot of his wrestlers the ability to just do whatever they want, like creative wise too. So it's like,
I'm not saying it's a bad thing either, honestly. I'm just saying, like, when you look at AEW, a lot of time, man, guys are getting hurt. Look at it was even made as a joke on Shane Taylor Promotions. I think I caught Rampage, and he's like, dude, you guys just keep alternating who's injured. When they were talking about Top Flight, they're like, you're a great tag team. Problem is, one's here, one's not. One's there, one's back. It's like, you guys keep alternating, you're getting injured. And again, freak accidents, it could happen to anybody. But the problem is, once you leave your feet, you're at the mercy, man. And that's the one thing, like, and again, Ricochet, I think, again, as I said, when he was Grand Puma and all these things, dude, athletic ability out the yin, man. Like he's one of the best flyers in the business, and he's going to have some great matches. I just don't know, like, if you get locked into AEW, that's necessarily going to be a good thing either.
Yeah, I
When
mean,
you can stay on your own and make money from AEW, make money from TNA, make money from New Japan, it's a different ball game now. If you got, a name and drawing power, which I got to believe Ricochet on that level will, if you want him to take on Will Ospreay for one match or whatever, like, I got to believe he's going to have some buying power to where he's going to make some money instead of just signing a contract.
yeah, it's not a bad opportunity for him if he could actually get that from different wrestling companies, allowing him to wrestle here and there. He definitely wouldn't wrestle in WWE because WWE would not allow that to fly, in my opinion.
That's what's wrong with him now. Like, WWE will let you go a little bit, but they're not going to let you go. The stuff, if you've watched Ricochet highlight tapes, there is so much more to that guy. There is. But also, again, there was times on some of those highlights where you look at it and it's like, oh, looks like he killed the guy. Now, whether he did or not, wrestling is also that end as well. There's some times where it looked like he wasn't going to get up and he did. So you got to take the good with the bad. And I just think WWE has the thing to where we'd rather side on the caution to make sure we're paying you to be here instead of paying you your downside while you're sitting at home recuperating. And I don't even think AEW pays a downside. I think AEW is a straight salary. At least like their tier level pay is like, it's like if you sign for 100,000, you get 100,000 if you wrestle or not. You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, for me, I think if MJF starts a feud with Warlow, which I think would be the smart thing for them to do, and then I guess somewhere if they don't want to mix him in immediately, and we spoke about this, MJF is the type of wrestler that doesn't need a belt for him to be relevant in AEW. They could make really good storylines and just keep running with it, but it just depends on what route they're gonna take. And again, AEW is top heavy right now, so who are you willing to take the belt away from in order to give it to MJF? Because if for some crazy idea Tony Khan decides that Swerve should lose against Will Ospreay, then Will Ospreay will have 2 belts. And then are you gonna allow MJF to get over Will Ospreay? I mean, by that time he's still undefeated. So then it would be difficult.
And that match would happen at All In. Think about that.
I mean, it would make sense to do it at All In.
At their big, no, it'd be at their big. That's their WrestleMania. All In to me is their WrestleMania. The one they do in Wembley or wherever they're going to do it this year, that's their WrestleMania. So to me, that would be when MJF would get the shot at, if that's the route they want to go. And Terry asked Sean how long you think it before they put the title back on MJF. Man, I honestly, look, man, it's not like when I say desperation, I don't mean AEW is closing. I don't mean AEW is close to closing. I just mean like they're desperate to find something that's going to work, that's going to stick.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing. And it goes back, and then there's 2 words, and I've said them before on this show, and I've said them before in a lot of stuff I do. And Bully Ray used them today. He said if Ricochet was to come back that way and save oh man, I'm gonna forget her name again, Samantha Irvin. And he says he wouldn't have to do that many flips anymore because they would be emotionally invested in Ricochet at that point for him being the knight in shining armor. That is where I feel like AEW misses the boat on guys. You're invested in MJF. You're invested in Swerve. You're invested in Ospreay. You're invested in some of these other guys, but you're not invested in everybody. And again, you're also not invested in everybody in WWE. But I feel like WWE at least makes even the mid-card guys feel a little more important than what AEW does, because AEW focuses on those top guys on Dynamite. And actually, this is funny. Now, because of my notes, I want to give a kudos to AEW because I've been watching Rampage and Collision the last couple weeks, and they have been building their heel factions, the Shane Taylor promotions, your Gates of Agony with Brian Cage. They build them on Rampage and Collision to come to Dynamite to lose. But they're building them up over there. At least they're getting wins over there. You know, they're making them seem important. They're getting the good interviews. They're getting the things to look right. And again, Shane Taylor Promotions is not the heel faction that's going to run and be the – they are perfect for that. They're that excuse me, hold on a minute. They're in that role where they're the heel that's going to help that next babyface advance up. That's their role. And I think Shane Taylor and them are perfect with that role. They do great on, you know, they get their wins on Rampage and Collision. Then they come to Dynamite. They have a great match, but then they end up short, but it boosts up and they feel like real contenders. So kudos to AEW for that, because at least they're building up some things. But I don't feel like they've invested anybody. They've done, and again, this goes back to the thinking too of AEW, where the best wrestle. And as Daniel Bryan said, and I sent to you, the difference between AEW and WWE to him was, when I was in WWE, it's about the entertainment aspect. It's about getting invested, about, you know, and AEW, it's about the wrestling. That, I believe, is part of it too as well, because again, wrestling-wise, in between the ropes, AEW has no issues, man. If you can't tell that, then you're really either pro WWE or you're just dumb.
I want to chime in here. First and foremost, no doubt, you said that he asked if they're still doing All In and then All Out a week after. Yes, actually.
No.
Yes, it's 2 weeks out. So
but I mean, it's not. But remember, last year they did it the Sunday and then the Sunday. They put a week in between this year at least.
Yeah, because All In is August 25th, and then All Out is September 7th.
Yeah.
So they have like about a week in between.
Yeah, they put a week in between. Last year it was the Sunday, and then they did the following Sunday was the one in Vegas. Like, it's crazy.
So as far as Collision is concerned, I actually did not get a chance to watch Rampage, but I did see Collision, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked, Sean, that next week, Saturday, it makes 1 year of Collision, and nobody like even knows, like even felt it, that's been a year already of Collision, because like it's like you said, the importance of making storylines, the importance of doing certain things, they don't focus on it as much. They just put wrestling matches and they say, hey, just go out there and wrestle.
Yeah.
I mean, they built little things here and there. Like I know they had Dustin Rhodes talked and mentioned Jack Perry, because it's going to lead to Jack Perry going up against Dustin. But that's it. They do like one-offs. They'll do a story, or they'll say something.
That's the thing. They build up Dustin to get over, and then Jack Perry gets to build up from what Dustin built up. You know, but again, that's where Dustin is in his career. But they do that with others as well, which is like I mean, Dustin's probably a good example of who you should do that with, because he already has a name. So now you put him in there, and now you put him against somebody, and when they win, it elevates them a little bit more there. But I feel like they do that with a lot of the other ones, and it's like, okay, they beat that guy. Okay,
it's like Orange Cassidy right now.
Invest into it, but also, as I said, I just think it's a mindset of the company. It's we wrestle. We're not here to entertain, but they're missing that important part, because one of your best guys, MJF, entertains the shit out of people when he talks. When he does his moves, everything he does entertains. Swerve going to the ring entertains. Will Ospreay with the bruv entertains. So you get invested in them because they also entertain you at the same time, and they can still work their ass off in the ring.
Yeah, I don't see what's the harm with them doing both. You know, wrestle and entertain.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's
people will be more invested.
Yeah. And it just, you got to get people to, and again, I get it. And again, when I say desperation, I don't mean AEW's dying, AEW's going out and this and that, but they're desperately trying to figure out, I believe, a recipe that works for both, to where they can maintain where the best wrestle, but also put on a more entertaining show. Because Toni Storm, there's another one for you. She's entertaining as hell.
Yeah, she was. Check this out. So Tony Storm was on Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, and she was able to be on all three of them because, like you said, they do a really good job with her character.
Yeah.
Even though she wrestles,
She wrestled once.
Yeah,
She
but
wrestled once. The other time she was out as whatever. But again, it's like I don't understand where. I guess I don't understand what their term for entertain is. And the wrestle, like what is because everybody that people are invested in. If you ask anybody about AEW, they're probably going to mention one of the names we just did because they're entertaining so that they cross over and people talk about them. It's not just about the wrestling. I mean, yes, all of them are very athletic and stuff. I don't understand why they're so dead set against it's like, oh no, we're just going to wrestle.
I'll give you an example of somebody who just wrestles and his character just looks completely off, and that's Kyle O'Reilly. Like all he does, they give him big matches, big moments. I mean, he just fought at Freshly Squeezed on Saturday for Collision, but that's it. That's all he does. He does like these random ass matches, one here and there, and then from time to time they'll throw in Roderick Strong saying, hey man, this and that, but nothing concrete where you're like, damn, you know what? Like I really want to see Kyle O'Reilly. Same thing goes with Danny Garcia. That's another guy who just goes out there, he wrestles, and just because he goes like this and starts dancing, it doesn't, it's fun, it's nice for the moment.
They don't build on it. They don't build on it.
And he is a young cat that could really honestly do really
how about
well in
this?
AEW.
How about this as an example? They put Chris Jericho out there every week. And I wanted to smash my eyeballs out. Now he's doing this crazy, stupid shit where he's pulling up. He's like, hey, guys. Hey. I am more intrigued by him now than I ever was when he was wrestling every week.
Even Big Bill. You saw how they incorporated Big Bill? Because
Brian Keith. You disrespecting Chris Jericho.
I love
Bad Apple is good stuff.
I love it that guy is the bad apple. So anytime they're like happy and fine and dandy, he's like, screw you, bro. Yeah. And it's entertaining. And I don't have to see Brian Keith go ahead and wrestle. I see him part of that group and I'm like, okay, this is cool. They're doing that. But again, it's random. You got certain guys that have been in the game that 9 out of 10 times they do something about it. Look at Samoa Joe and they put Hook together. You're seeing that Hook is not wrestling, but they're doing these little segments here and there where they'll go attack somebody or they'll talk something, and it keeps them relevant.
Yeah, and also I think what it's doing too is like I think it's trying to get a personality to Hook because it feels like he's always been that character where he really didn't need a lot of personality and everything. And I think now it's starting to run a little bit of its course, shall I say, to where now he's got to try to reinvent that second layer. It was cool when he used to go out there and choke people out. That's awesome. But again, if you want us to get emotionally invested, you got to start seeing the other layers of them. I think they put him with Joe to start kind of seeing a little bit more and see what Joe, again, hanging with Joe, doing a little bit thing like the other day. He was eating chips while Joe was talking or whatever. And I think it was Shane Taylor Promotions walked up to him or somebody and smacked the chips out of his hand. And then they were going to go at it and stuff like that. But like, again, I don't know, man, it's about getting you invested in their, and they're against that. I mean, I won't say they're against it.
Well, you saw who they brought back on Saturday, right? They brought randomly back that I had not seen in a while, Scorpio Sky.
Oh, yeah, no, I missed that. I missed Scorpio Sky. I didn't
see him. He came out in a video just promoting himself. I think he's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, entering himself in the Owen Hart tournament. Okay. He just randomly came out of the blue. Like, I'm like, come on, man. Like, where have you been? I haven't seen you in how long? And now all of a sudden there's a vignette about you. And all of a sudden we need to, again, like find some importance. It's hard because you're not selling on us. You're leaving us in the dark for a long time. And then all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's also shame on depending on, like, again, they could have played vignettes leading up to that and then him showing up or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the other thing is, like, they've gotten better at it because me and you used to discuss all the time where they would bring the guys in from Japan and it'd be like, me and you know who they are, and other people, like, You know, but then also like, and this was taken out of context too, by the way, but Tony Khan said, I book for sickos. I'm a sicko. I book for sickos. And what he was saying, what, you know, it was taken out of context, but that's the part that got viral. And I understand that. And look, you can have your hardcore base and you can make that work, but at some point, you've got to make your product watchable to everybody. You know, I mean, if you want to grow, and again, are they're happy with that where they're at, then I guess if TV's happy and TV's going to give them the money to keep doing what they're doing, then so be it, because they have more money than anybody else. I mean, it's not like AEW is going to run out of money.
No, I mean,
Tony Khan's got like, I think he's got 21 billion. His dad's got 21 billion. He's got like 2 billion or something. Like it's some, they both are like in the billions, man, like with the companies they have and everything else. I mean, you know, for the ones that are like, oh, AEW's, no, it's not going to go anywhere. But to me, it gets hard to watch. I almost like watching Rampage more now because in the hour, there's a little more stories than watching the 2-hour show.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I haven't watched Rampage. I had it recorded, and then I was like, man, you know, I'm not gonna watch it.
This Rampage took a step back from last week's Rampage, but again, it was okay. Again, it's Rampage. I like what they do because it reminds me of the old kind of WCW Saturday nights where you have the enhancement talent taking on the guys, and you know, like Acclaim did a squash match, and somebody else, maybe it was the Gun Club, somebody else did a squash match too, and things like that. Like, I don't mind those every once in a while. Like, I think you need to have those. Like, for instance, this week, he was out last week, so now he comes back and Ospreay's taking on Jesus, who was it? What was that damn flyer?
Of who he's fighting this week?
Yeah.
I don't. To be honest with you, I don't. I know he's who's he fighting this week? No, I would have to look.
Yeah, I'm trying to get I had the poster right here and I lost it.
Yeah, I don't remember who he fighting this weekend. I could go to their site.
Ray Phoenix.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
Yeah, and then you got Mercedes Moné against Zeuxis. I don't know that must be one of the new CMLL got people because she's taking on the other lady from CLL, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Kyle O'Reilly, because we just throw people together. Kyle Fletcher, Takeshka, and Roderick Strong. TNT title qualifying match, Dustin Rhodes versus Jack Perry.
That's what he was promoting on Saturday.
Yeah. Roosh is in action, so you know MJF's probably going to get involved there or something, I'm guessing.
See, that's dumb of them for them to have done that, because if they only put, again, you want to put Roosh as he's in action, but why not say something about, why not say MJF is, I don't understand.
This would be the time to have MJF open the show and then Roosh positioned later in the show and then have MJF come back out and take him out.
Yeah, but you're gonna find out he's not. It's probably gonna be like a vignette in the back of him of
they
MJF
recorded last week.
Yeah,
because he's not there.
Yeah, because MJF is not there, right?
Yeah, TV time with Chris Jericho featuring Private Party, which I think is going to be a new talk show that they're doing.
2 guys, Private Party, that are like this. Some days we hear from them, some days we don't.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like when they first started, they made them feel like they were important. And then they just started throwing them everywhere. Oh, go with the Hardys. Oh, go with this group. Oh, go with that. And it's like, bro, you can't have so much. Let's see. No Doubt. No Doubt said Swerve and Ospreay all in. MJF interjects himself. The match is a wash, leading to a triple threat match between Swerve, Ospreay, and MJF at All Out. Just tinfoil hat stuff.
The only problem about that is how are you? I mean, if you put a triple threat match and All Out,
that would outseed All In again. I wouldn't think you wouldn't run that back after Forbidden Door.
Yeah, because you just had it a week. I mean, although they're all the way in Europe, but the only thing is that I feel like if you're All In as your Super Bowl, you're All Out. If you do that pay-per-view main event type of match, it's kind of exceeding or like out.
Yeah, your All In pay-per-view is ruined by your All Out ends up being the better.
Yeah, so I think it will hurt. I don't think they're gonna do that, to be honest with you. But
And then no doubt I'll say he's a small Joe so that provides size to wrestle Big Bill in a Hook Joe versus Jericho Bill match. But see, here's the thing, and this is what I hope happens, and I may be totally wrong. I think they put Brian Keith with that group so that Jericho doesn't wrestle that much. I think you get Big Bill and Brian Keith against Joe and Hook, if that's going to be the thing. And then you got Jericho outside kind of being the mouthpiece, and then all those little stupid things, like, ref, you should have counted two, only two.
Well, I love that Big Bill is actually building himself up to in social media, giving the the learning tree lesson of the week or something.
Lesson of the learning tree, yep. And that's the thing, like, I thought AEW was so innovative when they first started that they used so much social media. And then they went away from it. And I'm not saying that they don't still use it, but I mean, you used to have the Elite podcast. Sammy Guevara had one. You had I think it was like 4 or 5 different stars that ran their own, type of stuff. So you had all this stuff happening behind the scenes. You were getting to learn and see different things, and then kind of just took a back seat, man. Took a back seat.
The other thing that you noticed, did you see that they're talking about that, Penta's contract is up. So there's a possibility that Penta might leave. Now, they did say that WWE, that there's interest from WWE, but I don't think I ever will see Penta going to the WWE world. I think he's not going to leave Rey Fenix high and dry like that. I think they really have a good relationship. And I think Penta's the type of wrestler that likes to wrestle do more than just AEW. You know how he likes to wrestle outside of AEW? Like, I don't think he'll be able to do and flex himself like that in the WWE world. I think it would hurt him if he actually goes.
Yeah, but I mean, depending on how long he signs, if he signed like a 2-year deal with them and then goes and, becomes worldwide and gets a good bump from them, he goes there and he gets a big, not doing what happened with Sin Cara and those other ones that kind of fizzled out. But like, Rey Mysterio, you start boasting your name up worldwide. Now you become more, more global, I guess, in a way. But again, it's a far-fetched thing because I don't know what they're going to offer. And also when I look at, like, again, their styles, think about it, and I go back to Ricochet. They're not going to be doing the stuff they do there. Like, they're not going to be able to do all that stuff. They'll do some of it from time to time, but they're not going to be doing that on an AEW Dynamite, on a Raw. They're not going to be doing flips to the outside, man. Like, that doesn't happen in WWE.
Well, let me ask you this. Who just left AEW is now in WWE, and his stock at the beginning, they kind of showed him off a little bit, but now he's again disappearing again, and you're like, where is he? You know who I'm talking about? Andrade El Idolo. Where is he? And I have a feeling that could happen to Penta if he decides to go to WWE. Well, they'll bring him, they'll show him, and then he'll
do. Andrade is they started him with the thing, and then the draft. He's got the speed title. So I mean, but if they don't have anything for him for TV right now. Where are you going to put him? Like, I mean, they tried to sandwich him into that whole Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, but like, and then it was like, oh, now we throw him in with the Judgment. Like, I just don't think there's a spot for him right now that makes sense. Like, they're not just going to throw him into.
That's exactly that's what would happen to Penta, because where does Penta fit? Like, at least, like, for example, at least Carlitos.
There's nobody for Andrade to even have a feud with right now.
No, because at least with Carlitos, they made it. Whoever came up with the idea to put him in the Judgment Day was a good call, and a good call for Carlitos, because I think he fits. He's like a dark type of Carlitos I like. But you don't have Andrade. Andrade is there, and I didn't even know remember, I don't watch the speed thing, so I didn't even know he was the speed champion. But again, there's certain wrestlers that if they make their way to the WWE world, they just don't pop. And I don't know if that's to blame WWE or is that to blame
go there yet. Let's see where they go with him, because they haven't.
Look what you just said about Ricochet, right? And you look at Ricochet and you saw what Bully Ray said about, hey, they could do this thing with Samantha Irvin and all this stuff. and then now people will be invested in him on not just his wrestling skills, but more on his character. And then he doesn't have to go above and beyond when it comes to the wrestling skills. How long have they had Ricochet? There was a lot of time when I told you, I like, bro, I hate Ricochet. Like, he's boring because they haven't been able to use him. Is that to blame Ricochet? Is that his fault, or is that WWE's fault that
Well,
they
it's
haven't
both,
found a niche for him?
you fall in a place to where you become. I always go back to when I think of that stuff. I think of like back in the day, you had guys, and this is no shot to anybody or whatever, but most of the time, if you were not necessarily Ric Flair per se, but some of the other guys that would become champions, what was because they had the 5 moves of doom. It wasn't because they were good workers or they had the athletic ability, because most of those guys were your Brad Armstrongs, were your guys that were putting those guys over to make them look like $1 million because they had bodies. You know what I'm saying? And now, I think that's the problem that happens with Ricochet is, again, I know now with Triple H doing it, it's not as considered a big man sport in WWE anymore, but I still feel they book that way. When you watch what they do, it still feels that they book that way. Yeah, there's Cody, who's not a giant and everything else, but like, look at, I mean, Damian Priest got it. Who's next in line? Gunther. Who's wrestling this week? Drew McIntyre. Like, there's no small guys. And then when you had the title on Gunther before, like, at least with Sami Zayn now, I could say, okay, Sami Zayn versus, Ricochet will be a good matchup. Gunther against Ricochet, not as much. You know what I'm saying? Like, it goes into how you book your product. And to me, WWE always books big. And that hurts those guys. You're right. It does hurt those guys. So it becomes down to, they've got to catch on another way. And what I think is going to happen with Andrade, which I think is going to happen when Charlotte comes back, is you're going to see more of that. You're going to see Charlotte and him as more on-roll TV, I believe. You're going to see a royal couple. Because, like, you could have put him with anybody. You could have put him with any group, the Feud or whatever right now. You've intentionally kept him off of TV. Not even if it didn't make sense. If you wanted to have Andrade on TV, you could have stuck him anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
he's lost right now again.
And they haven't. No, they just haven't used them because, again, it's like it goes back to when we were talking about like the whole thing with Jade and building her up. It's like, yeah, they're gonna bring her out. It's just you gotta wait till it happens. Like,
I don't know, man.
Honestly, when you brought her out, look at what they did. It was a Royal Rumble. It was a 6-man. It was a tag team. Think about what happened this week on TV. This week on TV on SmackDown for a week and a half, it's been listed. Jade Cargill takes on Indy Hartwell. Get to the show. Candice LeRae goes in to talk to Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis goes, it looks like your knee's better. Tag team match. It is. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell versus Jade and Bianca. They do not take chances, man. They don't. They're not going to just throw people out there. They're going to put you in the best position that they think is going to add depth to your character. And unfortunately, yeah, people like Ricochet. And again, when you look at it, Ricochet has had his moments, but he's had more non-moments than moments. That's been the issue.
Yeah, fact. No, that has a funny question.
He brings them from home. I saw him outside of WWE. He was eating an apple.
That's cool.
I wanted him to say that so bad when he bit into it. I want to bite into him and be like, that's cool.
I said in my head. I know I missed the WWE portion, but when they had the card, the room key or whatever, he was like that. He was saying that's cool. Like those little things like that are like, again, there's certain wrestlers that hit and it goes in both ways. We criticize more AEW because AEW, like, I don't know why we do that. I don't know why we criticize AEW more, because there are some wrestlers in WWE that are like struggling too. Like, okay, let me ask you this. All right. After Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther, the other guy, I forgot his name, the third guy that he moved on from Ludwig Kaiser, and who was part of Imperium. Where is he now? What happened to him?
They took him out.
So he's out of WWE? No, I know he took him out.
But remember, he put him up against the steps, and then he hit him once with the chair, and then he went back around and hit him again. So they took him out for a while. He'll be off TV for a while, probably getting rebuilt, or like a rebuild to his character.
But it's been a minute.
Or maybe
it's been a minute since they took him out, right?
Or maybe he wanted to be done, huh?
It's been a minute since he got.
It's been at least a
out.
month or so. A month or so.
He's been
right after WrestleMania, a little bit after WrestleMania, a couple weeks.
It's like another one, Tiffany Stratton. Where's she at? Like she was riding high, and then all of a sudden I don't see her anymore. I'm like, what is it?
No, she's there. They still they pushed her the other week on SmackDown.
They did?
Yeah. The problem.
I mean, I know she came out with Nia Jax.
This is the problem. Yeah, I can't wait for it. I want that tag team, man. Tiffany and Nia, the princess and the queen.
That's a good idea.
That's smart. Dude. I was like, please give me that. Give me that. But here's the thing. Like, this is why I don't like what WWE did as far as you saying, okay, King and Queen of the Rings get the title match in SummerSlam. I understand you want it to mean stuff. But now when you look at your roster, it's not going to be Tiffany Stratton against Nia Jax. It's not going to be, and again, if you want to mix it up and things like that, maybe you could do that. But the problem is the way WWE, and anybody who watched WWE for any time can almost see how it's going, like Piper Niven. I think they've done a great build-up to her versus Bayley. Do I think she's going to beat Bayley? No. But at least they've made it seem like, okay, she's a legit contender. But also when I look at what WWE does, it's not going to be Piper Niven against Nia Jax. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's where a lot of times you get your Tiffany Strattons, where there's some times where they might do the dark match main events against other people and not really appear on TV for a while because they don't want to just have them either job to somebody or lose to position somebody because they don't want that to happen to that character, or they'll just do like they did the promo with her and Nia, and then she leaves, so she got some TV time, but they're not going to have her go out there and wrestle against two. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the part where those things get in the way. Like I liked, and this is the other thing. This, and again, not throwing anything because I think I like the progress AEW is making. The problem is, I don't know how quickly they can do that, just because the way they're set up to do things. But so, for instance, remember they made a big thing about bringing back the rankings?
Mm-hmm.
So why did they have a title eliminator match on the pay-per-view? I get it, IWGP or whatever, but this is the stuff they've had other ones. Like even this week, Swerve against somebody with a title eliminator match. Like, what happened to the rankings? I thought the rankings were supposed to be, because again, now when you do that, you can at least make up some, you can do some storylines where somebody, pays 3 people to move up in rankings real quick or so. I mean, you could make some kind of storylines and then you make others there, because what I think happens with AEW is they do what you talk about. They would have Tiffany Stratton out there wrestling against anybody. Or maybe putting or losing to somebody. And then now to me, that loses some credibility in the long run. I get it. It's wrestling and everything else. I understand all that, people. But also, you can't expect me to sit here and watch somebody lose week after week after week after week, and then all of a sudden think that they have an opportunity to do anything. Like, I mean, again, I've watched wrestling. I get it. There's the Barry Horowitz moments where you fluke a win and you surprise everybody and things like that. But for the most part, it doesn't happen that way. And when you watch AEW TV and you watch WWE TV, as somebody that I work very closely with through the week says, if you pay attention to what they really do, you can see how a lot of this will play out.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we can sit here and fantasy book all we want, and we do this a lot, where we'll talk each other out of, picking one or the other when we already look at it and go, all right, this is just to make it interesting. Every once in a while, we'll be like, oh, you know what, we could do this. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Oh, good call. And then we know they're probably not, but damn it, we can talk ourselves into a frenzy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if you sat there and just really sat there and watched what AEW does, what WWE does, you could sit and watch and lead up to where, okay, this is where they're heading for SummerSlam. Okay, this is where they're heading for, whatever, however they're doing the big pay-per-views. Because like I said, I was talking about it earlier, watching Solo this week, it was like a button clicked in his head to where all of a sudden he's become, now that Paul Heyman officially announced him as the head of the table while Roman's out, you watched him kind of rise up to take that position. Then he uses the spear on KO. Then they use the Shield power bomb to put him through the table. All messages being sent to Roman. So ultimately, it's going to play out. And then, like I said, and I know this probably will not happen, but I feel like KO is going to be somehow involved in this, because what did Paul Heyman say to KO when he said Roman respected you as a challenger? Solo does not respect you at all. And it's been Kevin against the bloodline right now. I feel like maybe Jimmy comes back and it's Jimmy and KO. Somehow they form up and, I don't know, out of respect to take out the bloodline, and then Roman becomes the third guy.
Well, I think one of the things that WWE does way better than AEW is what you said. They know how to do these plots where eventually they could incorporate guys from out of the blue. You don't see that in the AEW world. In the AEW world, is like they'll just grab a random person and be like, okay, he's gonna wrestle against you, or this person. There's no backstory to it. They just start making these decisions as to like, hey, let's like, we're just gonna give you Kyle O'Reilly that way you could wrestle Kyle O'Reilly, and that's what hurts AEW, because I'm thinking about it, and we were like, I was gonna ask you, I was like, look, we criticize a lot AEW about how their characters, their wrestling, they're mid-level guys, and typically they're top tier guys also, but kind of like the mid-level guys go disappearing, and you'll see that from the WWE world as well. There's some that, we just brought Andrade. He's a good example. Although
but I think also the other thing, as you said, is though when they do drop the Andrades, they've got the other ones that you're not missing a bunch of people. You're missing Andrade, but you filled them in with Gable, Sami Zayn, like, and again, it's harder too though, because man, like, dude, how do I
because look at Baron Corbin. That's another guy who's gone.
I want to make sure I say this, man, legit. How do I want to say this? Orange Cassidy. I love him to death. I think he's great. The problem is, do you see him as viable?
I don't know.
He's a great character, great wrestler. Probably could kick my ass, honestly. However you want to say it.
Go for us.
But my thing is, like, as a character, it's just not. At some point, you've got to hulk up. You've gotten your ass kicked all this time, and all you do is you keep putting your hands in your pockets. You do the side super kick to the thing. Like, sometimes, look, it's a great character. It works. It's good stuff. But is it viable? And by viable, I mean, can it live? Carlitos. Let's use Carlito. Left, went out, did his thing as Carlito Colon, comes back, and he's in the same. He didn't really lose a beat. Like, I just look at the longevity that these guys have. Chris Jericho, look at the longevities they have.
The thing
Can
is
Orange
about
Cassidy be that?
The thing about Orange Cassidy is that, will we ever see Orange Cassidy elevate to the extreme where you could be like, hey, he's a contender for the world heavyweight belt? And no, his character, if his character doesn't change, you're right. He's going to just be the regular Orange Cassidy that we know. I mean, I know that he had the the belt that international belt before, right? I think it was the international belt
Yeah,
before
for like
he had,
300 days or something.
but that was kind of like his highlight. That's it. Did he reach his cap
But
after that?
let's keep going, okay? And then now you go on. Look at the mid-level guys that are in WWE. Look at the mid-level guys that are in AEW.
Okay.
All right. When you start comparing them, I look at Chad Gable, right? I mean, for instance, Ricochet. We're talking about Ricochet. If he leaves, where does he advance to in AEW?
No, I don't think he's gonna advance in the AEW. I mean, he might have one or two good fights, but that's it. You know, if his
But if he
character
comes
doesn't develop,
does he advance above Orange Cassidy? If Ricochet shows up on AEW TV, is he ahead of Orange Cassidy?
I think he is.
Chad Gable.
If Chad Gable goes to AEW,
Mhm.
yeah, he's definitely well over Orange Cassidy.
All right. Orange Cassidy goes to WWE. Is he pushed better than Ricochet or anything?
No.
Like, see, that's where like, and again, I'm not taking shots here. And AEW has great performers in the ring where the best wrestle. I get what they're trying to do. But it's two different philosophies. And the thing is, one group could go to the other side and succeed. And again, not saying everybody here, don't put words in my mouth, not everybody. But if you went wrestler per wrestler, I think more WWE would be able to come to AEW and be successful than AEW going and being successful in WWE.
Well, look at the guys that are jumping to the NXT world.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan Page, Lance Archer, this guy, Lexus King.
Yeah.
They've been.
Lance Archer didn't jump, did he?
Yeah. He is it Lance? No, not Lance Archer. Sean Spears. My bad.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Sean Spears.
Like, damn, I missed that.
Not Lance Archer. Sorry about that. Sean Spears.
Yeah.
Those guys, they didn't make it to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. They had to go to NXT, and that's where they're getting their pop. Like Ethan Page did a phenomenal job against Trick Williams, and he's already bigger in NXT than what he ever was in AEW. And it's just because AEW, again, sometimes they just don't, they drop the ball when it comes to marketing these guys. In the WWE world, there's certain guys and gals that they just know how to pop. Not to say they don't do the same thing as AEW, which we've pointed out. Baron Corbin, Ricochet, this guy, we just spoke about him. The one who Andrade El Idolo, those guys, mid-level guys that sometimes are forgotten and then they move on. But still, you know, whenever you see an athlete from AEW go their way to the WWE world, it usually elevates them. WWE finds a way to elevate them.
Yeah, but I've always said it, and you've kind of agreed with me, at least their production, they always make everything seem bigger in WWE.
Yeah, but look at it.
Everything of the presentation seems bigger. Even when you bring them out. And I get it, they're in a small thing. It's
why does WWE spend more time and effort on the production than AEW? Like, why does AEW?
Their entertainment, and it's the entertainment aspect of it.
Because when you look at WWE, right, and this has been going on for years, when WWE was going up against WCW, it's the exact same thing. Then you see the production of WCW was not to the same level as WWE.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
No, because they didn't get the budget. So, but what they did was, and it's a Paul Heyman exclusive thing, you accentuate the positives and you hide the negatives. So the lighting's very dingy. I put the lights on the ring where the action is. I put you accentuate your positives. And that's what I think AEW feels their wrestling inside the ring is better. But the problem is, in order to get everybody to focus on just the wrestling, you've got to get their attention, man. I mean, think about what WWE almost went out of business with WCW was doing what they were doing. What saved them? The Attitude Era. It was getting risque because Vince didn't
and blunders by WCW too. Blunders by WCW as well.
But that was brought on because of everything else they did to try to take them out, signing everybody to big deals, and then
well, not only that,
control and
but not only that, but blunders in the sense that some of their fights didn't make any sense anymore. Some of their storylines were ridiculous.
Yeah, but they didn't make sense because, for instance, the Hulk Hogan Sting didn't trust Hogan because Hogan had creative control.
Correct.
So he went into that match going, Hogan's going to change it. The day of the match, Hogan changed it. And then they made that finish that freaking made no sense because that was the only way Hogan would lose.
But
you spent 18 months. Think about this. You spent 18 months building up Sting versus Hogan. That long, Sting beats Hogan clean.
Yeah.
If 18 months goes by, it's just like the devil. The thing AEW did. You spent so much time, and I get it, injuries happened and this and that, but like to spend as much time as you did to get no payoff, that's what happened with WCW. They spent all this time building up and they never got the payoff on a lot of stuff.
Same thing with Goldberg.
Piper, the Warrior debuts and British Bulldog blows out his back because he gets backdropped on the door, and somebody left the handle when he landed on the handle and things, and injured his back, and he was done. Like, it was just so much little, like, it just cascaded into this big ass. It's crazy, man. And there's more stuff coming out. I mean, like, I didn't know I heard that the finish was messed up because Sting didn't trust Hogan and thought Hogan would go into business for himself.
Well, that's what they were.
So he wrestled. I was told that he wrestled cautiously because he didn't know if Hogan would try to, but that's not the situation because he knew already because the original finish was changed before they even went to the ring.
Well, they were mentioning that on the first episode of Who Killed WCW.
Oh, that's what I'm going off of. That's what I was going off of. And then, you know, again, everybody was telling Sting, Hogan's not going to do that. Hogan's not going to do that because Hogan's in it for himself. And that's the thing. All those guys, I mean, hell, even Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, you know, Scott Hall, RIP, is they at that point, they were in it for themselves, man. I want money and I'm not worried about the product.
But as a wrestler, should you worry about the product? Not really. You got to worry about your paycheck.
Well,
you would assume
but that again, that goes to where, look, once you give a wrestler creative control, dude, you might as well. I mean, you better just hope that guy shows up to work.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, like, I don't understand. Like, and again, that's what I think made AEW so good the first 3 or 4 years. Everybody was tight. Everybody was tight, going for one thing. And then it all started going its different ways. And now it's kind of shattered. It's everybody's. It's the wrestling business. Everybody's
although I will say that the last couple guys that they signed, the top heavy, the champions right now, have all kind of brought in like a different mindset, at least for now. The only issue is, again, how much creative control do you give these guys to the point where you're not going to tire out your fan base? Because again, this company has only gone for 5 years.
Yeah.
Talk to me in 15 years. Are they still going to have the same amount of fans? Are they still going to be popular enough for them to carry on these guys, you understand, and gals,
yeah,
and still be like, damn, I'm invested on AEW? I don't know.
I think they hurt themselves a little bit too with what happened with Fuego del Sol, with Joey Janela. And I get it. Those guys are not big names or anything. But when the pandemic was there, everybody was going to AEW. People were driving to Jacksonville to get on their shows. And kudos to Tony Khan, he was paying them. But then when it came time, and then now everybody's starting to come back, and you got to start paying guys, those same guys that were there for you during the pandemic are gone. And again, not say it's business. I get that. But with the ways that, and again, only people that know really is AEW Tony Khan and Joey Janela. But what Joey Janela said was he got ghosted. Marco Stunt, he got ghosted. You know, like all those guys, Fuego del Sol just got told, hey, you're done. You know what I'm saying? Like I get the business end of it, but
Sunny
like,
Kiss.
you start losing a little bit of your like, really? You're really for us? Are you really for us? Or are you just for us if we're Mercedes Moné or Okada or, you know, Will Ospreay or whatever, you know, and that's the thing. And then like, again, I know WWE pays well and this and that, but those guys and gals are wrestling 4 to 5 times a week. At AEW, you're wrestling what, Wednesday night and maybe Saturday night, depending on if you're booked.
Except the top heavy guys like Swerve and Will Ospreay. Those guys are wrestling every week, which makes no freaking sense. But
well, no, but I'm saying, but you're either wrestling Wednesday or Saturday or both. You're wrestling 2 nights at the most.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas they're wrestling 4 times. So think about like, you know, and then my understanding is they pay travel. Like AEW pays for the travel, like Will Ospreay's deal. So not only are you paying them whatever $1 million a year, but also flying them back and forth.
Yeah, but I don't think they're doing that. I don't think they're doing that with everybody. I think they're only doing that with certain
Oh
wrestlers.
no, Okada moved in, but again, man, think about, you're probably paying almost $1 million. Will Ospreay's not sitting in coach.
No, I think that's why he wrestles almost as much as he does, because
Yeah, when he's here,
Tony Khan's like, I gotta make my money's worth.
Promo or whatever, and then
yeah, I gotta make my money's worth. I'm paying an arm and a leg to fly him in and out.
No, and I think he understands that, and that's why he does. Dude, he goes above and beyond when he's there, man. Sometimes I feel like, dude, like when he did it, when he held his arm against Kyle O'Reilly, I was like, oh my God, could you imagine if Will or Swerve gets hurt heading into Forbidden Door?
Or heading into All In, man.
Oh, I mean right now. Like if they get hurt before June 30th.
Look at Adam
Forget everything
man.
else. What do you do from now? I already know what I already know the insurance policy.
But that's the thing. Look at Adam Copeland. Now the All In fans are not able to see Adam Copeland over there in Europe.
Yep.
So
yep.
It just sucks.
And now FTR's been pulled.
Yeah, so, that's another one. Look at that.
Yep.
So what are you gonna do? You know, and that's the problem, because that's the issue with high flying wrestling and continuously wrestling every freaking week.
Oh, that and also the extreme matches. I mean, when you're using ladders every week and chairs every week, and dude, all you gotta do is come down wrong and you'll get a hematoma. Like, I mean, it's not hard.
But not only that, Sean, like you mentioned it before, these guys are going hard against like your regular Joe Schmoes too. Like you're going up against, I don't know, who's a regular guy, Christopher Daniels, let's just say he was wrestling. They're duking it out. It's not even
matches with.
Yeah.
I said the same thing earlier about Braun Breaker. You're booking him kind of Goldberg-esque, but then he had issues against Ricochet, an injured Ricochet. And then this week, a great match, don't get me wrong, with Dragunov. But what is Braun Breaker? Like I thought you were pushing him to become the face, and now he's having a 25-minute match with Dragunov. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it happens. It happens in both companies. I think the reason you see it so often in AEW and we call it out is more because, and again, maybe it's the way we are conditioned when we watch WWE and even WCW. It was more story driven. It wasn't wrestling driven. And I don't know if they're going to be able to change that. Like,
yeah, because we criticize a lot AEW, but if you're looking at it, WWE does the little same mistakes. But because of the fact that WWE has been in the game for such a long time, and like you said, production and they look more high end, you know? They're like
also it's Bloodline. It's Sammy and Chad Gable. It's Cody and AJ now. It's Drew and CM Punk. It's Drew and Damian Priest. It's Bailey and Piper Niven. It's like those are your storylines leading in right now. There's more. It's more entertaining to where when you see a flaw, you can overlook it because there's other stuff. The problem, it doesn't compound. When I look at AEW Dynamite, I saw MJF, and I thought it was a mistake. You only used him at the beginning of the show.
They should have never used that at the beginning of
and
the show.
then
In my opinion,
what happened after? Honestly, when you look at the rest of that show, where do you sit there and say, okay, they're building the forbidden door?
the only thing I could see that they may have been building the forbidden door was when Tony Storm and that other girl.
Yes, you're right. You're right. That is there, and that is actually pretty good too. The Mariah May, Mina Karakova or whatever her name is, and Tony Storm, the way they're battling over her. Yeah, no, that's good.
And then in Collision, they did the same thing with Mercedes Moné, and building up against the Puerto Rican chick, I think, who's fighting. Who's
all right? So you got three things going there. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I mean, it's just like it's not as much. Like you just
look at it this way. And I've always looked at WWE and AEW. I always see WWE as Apple, and I see AEW as Android. Like Android is better.
I see WWE as Android and AEW as Apple.
No, because the reason I see WWE as Apple is because everybody wants Apple, right? Everybody.
Yeah, but see, I see them as Android because I don't have to pay $35 for every app and stuff like that.
But you know that the quality of Android is way better than the Apple. And then all of a sudden, Apple does a little minor change here and there, and then they blow up again. But Android has already typically outshined them or done something better. That's why it's like everybody wants Apple and nobody, and then the people who really like, what the wrestling, I guess you could say, kind of like the in-ring wrestling, would go with an Android because the Android delivers you more as far as features and stuff like that. But because of Apple's name, Apple lives to expectation. Everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna go with Apple. So I just look at it that way, and I might be wrong, but I just look at it that way. That I just feel WWE is Apple and AEW is Android. I could be wrong,
but it is whatever. I'm an Android guy, so it doesn't matter. All right, Terry said, Sean, did you guys watch the Ricky Steamboat documentary? I've not seen it yet, but I lived Ricky Steamboat, and I love me some Ricky Steamboat.
Oh, thank you, No Doubt. There you go, some No Doubt right there, helping me out. There you go. Read that one. WWE is Apple and AEW is Android. Apple has lots of controlled features and Android is more open. There you go. That's another good reason for Apple to be WWE and AEW to be Android.
Whatever.
Don't get mad because I made a good point. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, but I'm an Android guy, so I'm not an Apple guy. So
you're an
I'm
AEW
not one of those guys
guy.
that need. No, I'm not an AEW guy. That's why I'm against what you guys are saying.
But just because
I'm not. I guess I'm technically not a WWE guy either. I'm in the middle. Why are you trying to get me against AEW? Stan's going to attack me now. One more thing, I think I want to talk about AEW was. No, that was it.
Let me ask you something. I know I wasn't here early. Did you talk about NXT?
I did. Battleground. Yep.
I want to. I'm obviously I'm going to talk about this with my brother, but I do want to get your opinion on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's about all this twerking stuff, right? Yep. And I could associate a little bit with the Dom and Liv Morgan with the whole PG, because there was I think it was WrestleNomics who actually posted it. Is this PG or something? And then you see the twerking and stuff like that. Do you see Shawn Michaels twerking and all stuff? And I was talking to my brother, and I told my brother, I was like, man, it just feels like WWE, should they be showing this content if they're still trying to cater to the kids?
But they're not. They've already said they've gone away from PG.
True. Technically,
they don't know where we're going here again. This is the same subject as last time.
No. Well, here's the thing for me. I still think that they are catering to kids, in my opinion, even though they're saying they're not.
They have characters that cater to kids, yes.
So then, in your opinion, should WWE still be showing all this twerking and stuff in the NXT world with Sexy Red and
it was on a pay-per-view?
No, they were. She's been twerking it since she was on Tuesday.
But they brought her out at the end.
What do you mean they brought her out at the end?
Brought her on the 9:00 hour.
For what? For NXT?
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't. When she first came for the first time, the Sexy Red was the opening act. And then after that, they teamed her up. She was featured throughout the whole show, and she was twerking every
At
single
the
time.
pay-per-view.
Who? Sexy Red?
Yeah.
No, they actually.
At the pay-per-view, she opened the pay-per-view.
Sexy Red was. I mean, the only thing Sexy Red
did the stuff for the backstage stuff.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing I think she did, which was the twerking with Lola Vice.
Yeah,
that was the only thing.
Stuff.
But what I'm saying is that would you allow that? Would you be okay with that? With the twerking that's going on left and right, and then you had her doing the twerking with Shawn Michaels and all that stuff. Is it good for
Her and Shawn Michaels sang "Sexy Boy" in the limo after the NXT taping?
Yeah, but Sexy Boy is not.
But I'm saying, they're putting it over. I don't understand. I mean, no, I don't have an issue with it. I don't. I mean,
really, I do. Why? I honestly.
They're not PG, and they've said they're going away from being PG.
Yes, but again, they said it, but I'm still in that type of crowd that I feel like they're still catering to kids.
They're not. They have some acts that are for the kids, but that doesn't mean that the program's going to be.
I don't know, man. I mean, for me, I get you. I get you that you're right. They have mentioned it that they don't want to cater anymore to the kids.
And AEW caters the kids because they have Orange Cassidy in them, but then John Moxley's bleeding 30 seconds into a match.
But that's why
there's barbed wire and there's thumbtacks and people are going through glass. Like
I don't see AEW. I haven't been kind of, I guess, coached or trained in the eye to see AEW catering to kids, while in the WWE world I have. So that's why I feel like
WWE was PG. They went through the PG era. They're getting out of the PG era. So,
I just didn't like. I thought they went excessive with the twerking. I don't think it helped NXT. I thought NXT.
No, it probably did, but that's her. That's what she does. I mean, I don't understand. That's what she does. So that's what they brought her on there for, to cater to eyes, and they catered to her. She shaked her ass. They did the twerk. They put Lola Vice on there. She twerked it out. That's what you bring them in for. So eyes go on there, and then she gets arrested the day before. You don't know about it, but everything goes good. That's what happens.
I don't know. For me, it just, I don't know. But I will say this: when I was talking to my brother is like, Frankie, what can you expect when you got the head guy for NXT and the head guy for WWE? They were part of DX, and look at look what they brought when
that's
they were
why
DX.
As soon as Triple H,
so I was like it makes sense. Why?
As soon as he took over, the PG era was done. Vince McMahon was the only one that kept the PG era alive. And he only did that because to him. But see, this is where Vince McMahon missed the boat a little bit on is this. Yes, kids bring parents to the show, but if you don't give the parents something to come watch and enjoy, they're just going to say no.
True. But
I'm not going to watch Ricochet take on Sami Zayn.
But you also got to be careful
in a row.
Yeah, but you also got to be careful, and this is the thing where I was heading with my brother. You also got to be careful as to how much outside of PG are you going to be. Like, for example, if I have a daughter.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. Because if a parent wants to take their kid to that, that's on the parent. WWE is not a parent. That's on a parent.
I agree.
Just like when you take a kid to a football game, I get the football field there, but you also know what you're bringing your kid to when there's fans in the stands drinking or half drunk.
Correct.
You know what you're bringing your kids to.
Correct. But if I've been coached,
on the parents. That had nothing to do with WWE.
Well, hold on. I've been coached. I mean, I'm watching. You're right. I agree with you up to a certain extent.
You keep saying I've been coached. The Attitude Era. You didn't live any of the Attitude Era, so you didn't see WWE then.
I did.
Now you see it PG, but all you remember is PG.
But I'm looking. Okay, I'm looking at it. If I was a parent, right? If I'm, let's say
I am a parent, and I'm a parent. I'm going to let my kids watch what I want them to watch. If I don't want them to watch it, they won't watch it.
How old is
parent makes a decision on that? What?
How old is your kid?
Now they're 12 and 16 and 27.
Okay, so they're up there. They're kind of already. I'm talking about if you have.
And my older daughter grew up through the Attitude Era. She watched that.
So okay, so that's where I'm going. Let's say, for example, if you have a daughter that's a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old, and granted, I know social media is a lot. Like, I'll give I say this because, again, you're right. I agree that it's up to the parents, mostly the parents, to make that call, right? You what you allow a child to watch wrestling and twerking and all that stuff. But if I have a 7-year-old and I'm used to seeing WWE be PG, and then all of a sudden I'm starting to see WWE go a little bit more risque with Liv Morgan jumping on top of, Dom
Yeah, but
and
if
stuff
you
like that.
haven't realized that they've taken that turn since before WrestleMania, when The Rock's on there week after week cursing,
That's a good point.
I mean, dude, then shame on you. You're blind. You're blind. I don't care how much you've been coached or whatever we want to use.
Well, NXT.
You can tell that the product's changing.
Well, the product. You could say the product was changing on Raw and SmackDown, but you had not seen that product change in NXT. But by bringing Sexy Red, now all of a sudden you are seeing that product change.
Well, you're seeing it more like the twerking and stuff, but dude, it's not like the NXT women are wrestling like they're in Saudi Arabia.
No. But you haven't seen the NXT wrestlers go ahead and curse and do all these segments and vignettes like what The Rock did aggressively when it comes to outside of PG. NXT has not been doing that. Now,
not to The Rock's, no, not to what The Rock did, but there's been some. Lexis King did a couple things where it was like, okay,
yeah, but nothing too extravagant. Like, this is the first time I see NXT go that route, where NXT was like, okay, they're twerking it and they're doing like that, and it was fine at the beginning, and then all of a sudden you see it again, and you see Lola Vice twerking it and all stuff, and then you're like, as a parent, if I was a parent, maybe I'm just being picky, but I could go ahead and say, man, should my daughter be watching this now? Because I don't want my daughter to assume that twerking is okay to do at 7 years old.
Yeah, but
I don't mind it.
This is the problem. This is the problem, Frankie. Is this? If you teach your kids right and wrong from the beginning, and they see something, then they're going to know that that's not right. That's when you've been a parent. Like, just because my kids see a lot more at school than they'll see here at the house or on TV. They talk about other stuff out there. It's like, what? But again, you got to teach your kids right from wrong at the beginning.
I agree.
And then you have to, trust that you did right as a parent, and they'll do right as a kid. I mean, look.
Yeah, no.
They're going to twerk. They're going to twerk. I don't know. I mean, look. Did they overshow it some? Maybe, but it is what it is. You paid Sexy Red to be there. You're not going to like, oh, she's twerking too much. Take the camera off of her.
Oh no. They paid her.
I mean, like that's you get. And then No Doubt says I have a 6-year-old. She watches for like 5 minutes, gets bored, goes to her room to watch fairies and shit.
I mean, every kid is different too, and every parent is different. So I agree.
Afterlife asked your thoughts about Battleground. I kind of told mine. I know we're kind of talking about Battleground now, so we'll keep going through a little bit more. So go ahead, finish up what you're saying, then we'll get more thoughts on Battleground.
No. When it happened, when it came to Battleground, I think I'm saying, to be real honest with you, I thought they did a phenomenal job with the results of each match. I think they got it right with every single one of them. I predicted.
What grade did you give it? Let me ask you this. What grade?
Battleground, I probably gave it like a B+.
Yeah, I had a B. I said
yeah.
B+. Yeah.
I think they did.
You know what I thought? Playing the results, I thought Jordan Grace, Roxanne Perez should have main evented over Trick and Ethan Page.
Can't. The only way I would allow that to happen if Jordan Grace would have won. And I had gone ahead and I had mentioned it on my podcast with my brother. Let me talk to you. Wednesdays at 8:00. Little plug there.
On Frankie Fresco YouTube channel.
Thank you, sir. I honestly thought that Jordan Grace, by giving Jordan Grace the opportunity to win the NXT belt, it would have opened up more doors for now them to start like having a mixture of TNA wrestlers come into NXT and NXT go to TNA and work that cohesiveness between the two. That's the only reason why I had picked Jordan Grace.
That's
and I wanted
that to happen.
It's
going to happen.
I saw that. I read something about Jordan Grace now getting him.
Well, but right now, I can tell you right now in the NXT ring, Cody Rhodes and Trick Williams are talking to each other. I don't know what they're saying because I have it muted, but they're in the ring together face to face. Trick Williams and Cody Rhodes right now.
I mean, and see, when you say, hey, I think Roxanne Perez and Jordan Gray should have headlined, the thing is that Trick Williams is their money man.
He is, but my thing is,
and
like,
and Ethan Page was good. That was a really good fight.
No, it was a good match, but to me, it was a regular match. It was a good regular match. Like there was, and I get it because what they're doing is, Ethan Page ego took over. He took the 1 quick 1, 2, 3. They're going to keep building it. You could tell by the way he was staring them down in the thing. But like I was like, okay, they must be doing something with Trick and Ethan to let them headline over the one that was more talked about during the time. But I think what they wanted to do was just get the Sexy Red and whoop that Trick going as it went off. And I just thought, and again, playing the results, I felt that with everything that went down in that match, you could have maybe done a little bit more. That's just all I'm saying. And again, I get it, they're building or whatever, but I just felt
for me, the best match, no doubt, was definitely the ladder match.
Oh my God. That was tremendous.
That was the best.
And they used the ladders perfectly. I hope Lash is okay. I didn't check to see if she showed up today or not. She took a brutal bump.
She did. She was down. She was down for a minute.
Yep.
But I think they got the right person to win it as well. I called that one as well. So I was happy to see her. She has the most potential, I think. Yeah. And she's only young. She's like 21, 22 years old. So I was like,
the only other one I thought might have got it just because the way everything's working out was Soruka. Those were my two picks. Those were my two picks. And
Soruka has so much skill. I was impressed.
The double thing, her double.
Hell yeah, dude. I was like, man, Soruka looking fire out there. I was like, damn.
Yep.
But I was impressed with her as well.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good, man. It was a good pay-per-view. It was a very good pay-per-view. I mean, nothing crazy out of the thing. They crowned the champions. I thought it was a good match. Jordan and Roxanne told a little bit of a story. I wish her earring didn't get ripped out at the beginning. That kind of sucked because that kind of changed a little bit, I think. Because I thought she got stuck in the nose. I thought she broke her nose, honestly, at the beginning. And then I realized afterwards that it was her earring was stuck in her leg and her stocking and everything else there. So
I'm telling you, man, it was a solid card. And I like the fact that they did it at the Apex Center. I thought they did a good job with the Apex Center.
Some people were like, oh, I don't like this. I'm like, I thought it was a good little venue, man.
It looked like regular NXT. Yeah. Like it wasn't nothing.
I thought there was a little bit too much room around the area, but you're right. I guess, the way the barrier was set up a little bit differently, but yeah, it's about the same. You're right.
The only thing that was a little bit different was the commentator table was very close to the ring.
Yes. Yeah.
But besides that, it was.
Yeah, but that's because they always have the right on the cage.
Yeah.
So they don't. There's the right on the cage. So.
But overall,
to be honest with you, too, a match that I really liked was Shayna Baszler
and Lola Vice.
And Lola Vice, the way they went in and out of all the MMA stuff, you could tell that they both sparred, and they made it look good. There's a couple times where there's a couple little lapses, but all in all, I thought it was very good for the underground type match. It looked very good because they were legit, exchanges in MMA styles. That's what I thought made that good, because usually you'll get one person that knows MMA and then another person that's just fighting for their life. And in this one, they both were just transitioning and things like that. And then the win was because she hit her head. And I just thought it made more sense than just being somebody choking somebody out.
And I will say this, both Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler have that UFC type of wrestling. Mm-hmm. Like you don't see them having, how sometimes they like, oh, this guy's a wrestler and this guy's a puncher, right? That's kind of like the vibe I get with Lola Vice and with Shayna Baszler. They're more catered to like UFC type of style wrestling. You understand? So you're mostly punches and mostly kicking, and there's not so much technicality. And I think it worked for them. I don't know if Lola Vice is going to be able to get over, because I think that's what holds back Shayna Baszler when she's in Raw and when she's in SmackDown.
Well, no, I think also, you know what I think is funny? I think Shayna Baszler and them would be better on AEW.
No.
Yep.
No. Because her wrestling skills, Shayna Baszler's wrestling skills is not anything it's not extravagant. And AEW.
Yes, but she doesn't have to be something she's not. she's not the entertainer. She's an ass kicker. Like that's why they stick her with the like right now with like I want to say Ivy Nile, but it's not Ivy Nile, with Zoe Stark, because Zoe Stark is more of the mouthpiece talker. Like that, Shayna's not the entertainer. She's more of a worker. She's more of a workhorse, and that's why I say she would be better.
Okay, I could see
AEW style, because then she doesn't have to worry about being the entertainer. Now, like for instance,
kind of like Ronda Rousey, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ronda Rousey just didn't fit in, man. She tried and things like that. But to me, Shayna Baszler's better when she's like, I don't want to talk. I just want to fight. Like that's all she should say and just whoop ass. Like that's to me should be what she should do. And when she gets in these type of tag teams to where Zoe Stark is the mouthpiece and she just kicks ass, she stands out more again.
Well, you're right. I agree with you.
When she was in NXT for the champion the whole time, that's what she was. She was just the ass kicker for Triple H.
You know what? You're right, because even during this time that she was with Lola Vice and all that stuff, the majority of the talking was Lola Vice.
Yes.
It wasn't Shayna Baszler.
Yeah,
you're right about that. I agree.
Yeah, she's not an entertainer, but she can go. Don't get me wrong there, but she's not the entertaining part. I think slows her down some because she starts thinking about it, and then it throws her off. She should
work on that though.
She's not natural at it, and
well, don't you get that?
She's gotten a lot better. She was Ronda Rousey 2.0 at the beginning.
Don't you think?
Don't I can stand when she talks.
Don't you think Nia Jax was kind of the same way, and she's gotten improved over the years?
Yes, but that's because what Nia Jax does outside the ring that helped her tremendously.
What do you mean?
The modeling, the stuff with the Bella or the Garcias, whatever they are now, like all that stuff helped Nia become
a little bit more open-minded.
Not only open-minded, but I think more comfortable with who she was. Yeah. I think she was a little insecure at times because, again, when you see Nia Jax and you see the rest of the locker room, there's a difference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She became comfortable in who she was and what she could do, and she bought in on it. And I think the best thing was when she went heel and was able to just be like F you to the crowd, because when she was trying to be a crowd favorite, the crowd didn't want to. It was like Roman at the end. The crowd didn't want to cheer him, but you're trying to make them cheer him, but they don't want to cheer. And then also, like Cat for Life says, Machine, whatever the hell her name is, Mia Yim. I want more of Mia Yim.
Hell yeah, Michin is so good too, man. So good.
The problem is she falls. She becomes that. She's Natalia. They're so good that they make everybody else look good that they'll never be a champion.
That sucks.
It sucks. It's going. I mean, or they'll get a title as a here you go, and then lose it like what Natalia did. She won it and then lost it like what, a month later or 2 months later. They'll get the okay, thank you. You know, the old thing. But yeah, so. But all right, man. What else you got? Anything else?
No, man. I think I wasn't here for the WWE portion, but I'm assuming you covered what you.
Yeah, no, I just did. I mean, I think we went back over them right now. I did the Battleground. I did the Departures, Ricochet and Gable, and then just talked about Cody, AJ, Otis, Gable, and then leading up to the predictions for Clash of the Castle.
Nothing specific on Dom and Liv Morgan?
I talked a little bit about Liv and Dom, but I like what they're doing, but it's made me feel like the more and more this is going, is Dom is going to end up turning on Rhea.
Well, there was somebody who was talking about how Finn Balor is going to get involved in this as well.
This is what I didn't understand, and maybe I missed it because I was in and out during Raw. The key disappeared at one point. Then the next time I came back, Damian Priest had the key. Where did the key come back from?
Really? Damian Priest had the key?
Well, he had something. He threw it down. He's like, enough of this nonsense.
I thought Dom had the key the whole time.
No, Dom had the key. Then he throws it down. Then Damian comes in and he's like, they're like, oh no, he threw the key. The key's right here on the table. And they're like, Damian's like, where's the key? Dom's like, I put it on the table. And then they went to do the match.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And then that's when all the stuff transpired there. And then the next time I saw them again, Damian was yelling like, hey, you guys need to make sure you clean it up for our match tonight. And he put the key on the table again.
Damn, that's good, man. That's good if they did that. I don't remember Damian putting that key on the table. I must have missed that part on the show.
Yeah,
But
there was
if
a
they
card at the end, and the second part of the end of it, near the end of it.
if they did that, that is good. That is good storytelling, because now you're putting. You could honestly say that Liv is trying to also match
Well, that's what I
to
was saying. Like
Damian Priest.
I felt like she's trying to destroy the Judgment Day totally. But then I thought about it, and it's like it's going to be more now with the way everything's going. She's more targeting Dom than anybody else.
Well, because she's noticing. I mean, I think that's WWE going ahead and saying, "Hey, we got something here with Liv and Dom. Everybody's talking about it, so
Yeah.
you're gonna push that." But that doesn't mean you could still not have her mess around with the rest of the Judgment Day to the point where they all turn against each other, or she could become the mommy of the group. I don't know. I don't know to what extreme. I don't know where they're heading with this. It's interesting
Well, that's
because
what they do, though. They give you so many different webs that you could go this way and be right. You could go this way and be right. You could go this way and be right. It's like the whole thing with the layers they're doing now with Solo and everything else. Like,
yeah, because if you where can they go? If you have Dom go and she gets Dom out of the Judgment Day, and then you have Dom, then you have Liv and Rhea, and then let's say Rhea ends up winning. Where does Dom go? Because Dom pretty much
that's why I
kind of
think what's going to
betrayed.
happen is Liv and Rhea returns, and the first match is when Dom turns on Rhea so that Liv keeps the title, and then the next pay-per-view she destroys both of them.
But then what happens to Dom after that?
They'll probably keep him with that, or they'll start working him. Maybe he'll become your workhorse again, like you wanted him.
I don't know. I want him to be the biggest heel on WWE.
And No Doubt says she doesn't want to break it up. She wants to take Ripley's spot. I mean, it'd be interesting. I don't know. I mean, that'd be another part of the web that would be totally different if she took over Rhea's spot on the Judgment Day. Like Rhea comes back, and you think Dom's going to cost her, and it's somebody else from the Judgment Day costing. I mean, then you could go 4 pay-per-views. Liv could keep the title with a different person of Judgment Day costing Rhea Ripley.
And you know what's crazy, Sean, is that this is what I like about WWE. They're able to suck you in when they find a niche, and they found a niche. They're like, okay, we could go ahead and have this Dom Liv Morgan drama going on, and people are buying into it. Because now I'm into the. Remember we were talking about like, oh, Damian Priest here, and then like, what's going? Like, it was kind of that low. And then I said to myself, I told you, I was like, look, AEW should take advantage, because now their stars back. MJF is back, so that means that they're elevated. While WWE stars, CM Punk has been out. I don't know, maybe on purpose, but you don't have The Rock anymore. Seth freaking Rollins has been out. All those guys are out. So now, how is WWE going to respond? How is WWE still going to be attractive on Monday night? Not SmackDown, because SmackDown always has Cody, but Monday night. And now they brought this storyline.
Yeah, but what's interesting is I feel like they've killed the Judgment Day as a group, but they've made this storyline interesting. Like, I feel like the Judgment Day as a group is the Undisputed Kingdom.
Well, the thing about the Judgment Day is that
they're useless when you look at it from there. But when you look at it from a storyline with Liv Morgan, it's almost like taking on 2 lives.
Yes and no, because I still feel that the Judgment Day took a hit when Rhea got hurt, but I like the fact that they brought in Carlitos. Carlitos has gotten more into that group, and I like the fact that Damian Priest is more of like taking that role of the leader. But then you have Liv Morgan kind of like trying to break it in, trying to make them all go the different route.
You got jobbed out by Braun Strowman one week. You got jobbed out by Drew the second week. Then this week you get jobbed out again by Drew. He took out the whole Judgment Day to win the match, to make sure Judgment Day won't be ringside in Scotland.
Well, that's why I mean, I didn't do my Clash of Castle picks, but I honestly feel that Drew McIntyre needs to win on the live event this weekend.
See, that's what I think. I think CM Punk, like, I agree with you. If there's no CM Punk and it's just Damian against Drew, then, but I feel like they set this up to where now, Damian has nobody that he can rely on. Boom, there's CM Punk. And that's why I feel like there's no I feel like he's been laid low on purpose, that you forgot about it.
I do feel that.
And then now he pops up in Scotland.
I could see that, but I just there's just too many. There's too many factors for them to. First, you don't have Judgment Day to help out Damian. 2, we don't know if CM Punk is going to show up because
no,
again,
that's the thing. Yeah,
we don't know if maybe CM Punk might show up, but CM Punk might show up after Drew McIntyre has won. And then second of all, it also gives Drew McIntyre, the ability for him to win a belt in his hometown. Because remember, last time he fought in Clash of the Castle, he lost against Roman Reigns, and he wasn't able to go ahead and win in front of his crowd.
Here goes my question to you then about that. If CM Punk shows up after he wins the belt, so you've got Gunther against Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam?
You could have that, but now you could also probably include.
You can't include anybody. You said the King and Queen of the Rings get title shots. You didn't say. I mean, I guess you technically didn't say they can't be triple threats, but
correct.
Like that would be so like.
Correct.
I mean, I guess you could work it into a storyline to where you cheat Gunther that way, but I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a lot of storytelling. It's a lot of storytelling.
I think CM Punk. This is what I think is going to happen. I think Drew McIntyre is going to win. It's either going to be CM Punk or Gunther. Now that you mentioned Gunther, you're making me think here. So one of those two guys is going to come out after he wins. And I think it's going to be just a face-off, or just they'll end the show with him just showing his face.
Well, there's still Money in the Bank
correct.
before SummerSlam.
Correct. So and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe CM Punk puts his, name in that as well. So that could be something. And then imagine you have Gunther versus Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, and then CM Punk cashes in on Money in the Bank at SummerSlam. That would be pretty badass. And then you make it a triple threat match, or you can make it a back-to-back right afterwards. But that would also mean Gunther wouldn't get over, which I'm fine with. I think Gunther would get, because I would like to see a feud between Gunther and CM Punk too at one point in time. But there's a lot of
I mean that'd be the only way you could. But then you're I mean, Jesus. Man.
Yeah, I'm throwing a lot.
No, but I'm just trying to think of like do you? I mean, I don't want to say like waste the Money in the Bank on CM Punk, but
you're not wasting it, bro.
That's a waste. You can't cash in a week after, like.
Woo, that's badass. You're putting badass storylines between CM Punk again with Drew McIntyre, which we already know it's legit, and then on top of that, you could even put CM Punk versus Gunther. That's a good one, man. I'm into it, bro. I would love that. And people will buy into it quickly, very, very quickly.
Yeah, but I mean, that's again, this is Triple H's first go around with all of this, so maybe he switches up the Money in the Bank like he did King of the Ring, but usually the winner would be like your Damian Priest, somebody that you don't really necessarily not a contender that you can easily.
Yeah, somebody you're trying to get over.
Somebody you can put in the title picture, somebody that you can ultimately work into the picture, I guess, in a way, but. I mean, hey, look, I'll never say never with what they do. Also, when you're talking about WWE writing things, I was talking earlier about the way they wrote, if Ricochet is not re-signing, the way they wrote him off of TV, they've also left themselves open to where if he was to return, they could do the thing like what Bully Ray said. And it's the same thing with like Chad Gable right now. Supposedly his contract expired at the end of June. He said he'd do this pay-per-view, and then they discuss. A lot of people are saying he's already signed. But when you're looking at this, it's like, okay, at Clash of the Castle, he could win the title. Otis could take him out, finally, and then write him off. Or Otis and Sammy together take out Chad Gable. Or he could walk out, the Intercontinental title. Like they leave themselves zigzag to where they can, on a moment's notice, we can change it if we have to. We're not cornered in, is what I'm saying. When they write a lot of stories, they have ways to get in and out just in case an injury, just in case a whatever.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Although I don't see Chad winning at Clash of the Castle. I honestly feel Sammy's gonna win. I think Otis causes.
Man, the way I'm looking at this right now is, to me, also one of the other thing I said with the whole Sami Zayn thing is, I feel like Sami Zayn's a better chaser than a champion.
No, I like him as a champion. I thought he's done a good job.
He's done a good job, but I feel like his people behind him is when he's like running after the tag team titles with the bloodline with KO, when he was chasing Gunther, like those are when he gets like real hot. And then so like I don't know, I just feel like you can, if you're gonna have Otis just get the crap beat out of him all the time and then turn into this psycho and then do Chad's dirty work, you could put the title on him and then turn Otis into the enforcer.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that though. I think they're gonna keep Otis as like the funny character and all that stuff. He's just gonna turn on Chad Gable. I think that's the route they're gonna do.
I'm hoping so, but dude, he took 3 slaps this week. Like, bro, enough. Let's see.
Well, he was gonna punch Chad at one point in time, and then he
no,
and then he turned
that's
around.
what I'm saying. He was going to, and then all of a sudden, then it looked like he was going to charge at him.
Yeah.
And Chad moved, and then he nailed Sammy with the clothesline, and then slammed him. So
correct.
No doubt said, remember Liv sitting there at the Judgment Day. That's true. When he first walked into the clubhouse, she was on the thing right in front of the sign. So that's good. No, I mean that again. There's so much. It's so funny that now the storyline I feel is more important than the Judgment Day as a whole right now. Like,
I think they realized that the Judgment Day wasn't gonna last that long with and being the crowd wasn't gonna be invested on Judgment Day without Rhea. So now they figured out a way to keep the Judgment Day relevant without her.
Yeah, and then No Doubt says also, I agree, Frankie Priest can build himself back to the belt again if that is what WWE wants quickly to take maybe WrestleMania. No, I mean, I think Priest has established himself now, but I just my whole problem is, again, I look at SummerSlam and I go, okay, you can have Drew McIntyre against Gunther for a title, CM Punk doing a Money in the Bank cash in, or
oh well, no, they can't have money. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Sorry.
Or you could do Damian Priest against Gunther, Drew against CM Punk. And then if CM Punk did win Money in the Bank or whatever, then he could still cash it in if you want to do it that route.
Could do that.
So now I just don't know that you combine that many matches into one with just one decision. But again, I don't know what the rest of the card looks like now. And then also The Rock is out for SummerSlam probably. So that's gonna happen. Do you bring Roman back? Does Roman return?
Roman needs to come back.
And then look, man, Seth was training, looked pretty damn good. When does he return?
Yeah. And then what about Becky? Is Becky coming back eventually?
There's a lot of
Charlotte Flair
that can change quickly to make SummerSlam look a lot different in just 3 weeks. I'm saying like in 3 weeks' time, it could be different, totally different.
I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna hate me for this, but
I always do.
I am starting to become a very big fan of Live of Valkyria. Although I still love Dakota Kai, and I feel Dakota Kai needs to be elevated to bet. I think she could do way better than what Io Sky is doing now, but I am liking a lot Live of Valkyria. I like her a lot.
What happened to Dakota Kai when she got hurt? She's become that method actor.
And I hope that doesn't stick
is
with
where
her.
She's become like the and I hate to make it sound like this, but the she's the mascot for
I hate that, man. I hope not, man.
She really is like their mascot now, especially with no Bailey or anything else like that.
Yeah.
He's become like the mouthpiece. And also another thing, talking about Forbidden Door or whatever you want to talk about, Io Sky.
I saw that.
Showed up on Marigold and challenged the lady. Apparently had no clue who her opponent was going to be. They just told her that her opponent was going to pop up on a thing, and it was Io Sky.
I'm shocked that WWE allowed that though.
Well, that's the Marigawa guy. That's his thing with Julia and all that.
Oh,
that's
so
his
that's
promotion.
why. So there, so watch out that WWE might steal a play from AEW's playbook and have their kind of forbidden door type of live event at one point in time. Eventually,
you know what I think is going to happen, and this is no joke. I think you're going to see that promotion with the Japanese wrestlers. You're going to see TNA, and you're going to see NXT.
He's stealing
playbook. And TNA has a pay-per-view
that's sold out, my friend.
No, not this one coming up now against all odds. They have one coming up down the road called When Worlds Collide,
which is similar to the AEW, because AEW, besides Forbidden Door, they have the other pay-per-view, which is called what is the other pay-per-view called? World's End.
Yeah, World's End.
But I like it. I like that you're bringing that up because that makes perfect sense. And can it be for real that Triple H is stealing a playbook out of AEW's world, where they're literally now taking they said, hey, look, AEW has gotten a big niche on getting these other companies and working together. Let's do it. Now that Vince is not around, let's do it ourselves.
Yeah. No, I think that's the thing. And then also, you know what I think is the difference is? Triple H is smart enough to know to not poach talent.
Yep.
Because there's a reason AEW and TNA stopped working together.
I mean, look what AEW did to TNA. I mean, AEW did to New Japan Wrestling. It took all their guys. They always lost.
That's why look at this time. Look at their Forbidden Door right now. Who is it? CMLL. There's still a couple New Japan guys that are coming in, but it's not like you're not getting Tanahashi. You're not getting, maybe Tanahashi might come to the pay-per-view or whatever. But what I'm saying though is you're not getting the name. You got Leo Rush. I mean, look at what happened when the chance for the heavyweight title, New Japan Pro Wrestling's entrant was Leo Rush.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I mean, because they they took everybody from New Japan Wrestling.
Yeah,
they took everybody.
Do that so much. Like, yeah, you can sit there, but you can't. It's like, oh no, we're gonna take this guy. They took Ethan Page from TNA. They took a lot of guys when they were doing the stuff with TNA. They took some of those guys that they liked there.
Yeah, at that time the Good Brothers were in TNA, and they took the Good Brothers as well before the Good Brothers made their way back to WWE. Yeah, you're right.
Where I think because to be honest with you, I thought honestly I was under my thought process was there's something going on behind the scenes where TNA and NXT were going to become one. Because Anthem was looking to sell before. Scott D'Amore wanted to buy him, but they didn't want to sell to Scott D'Amore, and then they fired him. And then when they did the picture, it was the VP of Anthem, the VP of TNA, Gail Kim, and then of course John Gresham is Jordan Grace's husband. They were there in the audience. I was like, man, this. And then I thought, well, if Jordan Grace wins, wouldn't it be something if she wins and then they make an announcement that, but it didn't happen that way. But I was just like,
but Sean, you're making me think here, man. I'm looking at this, and if WWE steals that firepower of bringing in other talents from other companies and starts working with them cohesively and smartly, unlike unfortunately what Tony Khan has done with
you did notice one thing too. What's happened here, right?
What?
Jordan Grace was in the Royal Rumble, right? Was there any women's titles on the line? WWE women's titles?
Not that I can recall, no.
She gets a title shot. She didn't get a Raw or SmackDown title, right?
No.
It was an NXT title, right?
Yeah.
So it made you think, oh, she's got a chance to win.
Yeah.
Because if she's fighting one of the Raw or SmackDown, I'm going, there's no way WWE is giving them, because now you start thinking like, oh, okay, maybe there's more to play to this. As I said, we can talk ourselves into
creative
storylines.
Creative wise, I said, that's why I was telling you, creative wise, I was like, man, wouldn't it be different if WWE allows Jordan Grace to win it?
Yeah.
And that's why I thought they were going to go that route. Because I was like, man, and here's the thing. Triple H, like what you said, Triple H is so unpredictable. And the guy is looking at the business in like completely different than he's looking
He
at it
looks
like
at it old school and new school. He's got it both. He understands, that, hey, yes, this worked back then, might not work now, or this worked back then, it still works now. Why not do it?
and look, I'm gonna tell you something.
It's just like the
I might
territory
be
days, bro. Honestly.
I might say something crazy. You might not agree with me, but watch out, man. If WWE is able to pull this off, where they start working with these other organizations and other wrestling companies and making it successful, I'm telling you, they're taking down AEW quick.
No, but see, that's the thing, man. Like there's no AEW is gonna be there, man. AEW is gonna be 2. AEW will be 2.
I don't think so, man.
Because if TNA overjumps them and joins with NXT, then it's probably going to be a WWE type product, which is what I'm saying. So then they'll be under that banner. So you'll have WWE and you'll have AEW. AEW is going to be where they're at right now. Like I mean,
worst case scenario would be WWE purchasing AEW, but I don't think I ever see that happen.
No, because I don't think Tony Khan will ever do that. That's the thing that I'm saying. Like Tony Khan, I honestly think this is a tax write-off for the Khans, man. They don't care if they win or if they lose money, but I don't even think they're losing money. They're not making as huge profit, don't get me wrong, but they're not losing tons of money.
I just don't know how a businessman can keep going year after year after year losing money, because I think eventually they will lose money if they're not losing already. Although I have heard that their crowds are getting better in their in their shows.
They're running smaller areas now too.
So maybe that's why.
I mean, it's smart of them. I mean,
they have to.
But then also you've got the kicker now. MJF's back, so now maybe you can get more people back in right now. But again, that's the part where they don't take advantage of the whole thing. Like I don't think they take advantage of the whole package of what you have with the AEW talent, man.
I'm just thinking, dude, if Triple H is able to pull that off, man, that is smart as hell. And that is sneaky. A Vince McMahon type of move to go ahead and be like, screw you, AEW. And I know he doesn't look at AEW as his competition, but still, he still looks at the competition. You got to look at your competition, whether they're 1% competition or 80% competition.
But you watch it all. If you're a wrestling fan, you watch everything. Dude, when I'm watching NXT the other day, there was AEW guys tweeting about it. There was the TNA, of course. There was WWE superstars. Everybody was tweeting about it. The other day when I was watching the AEW pay-per-view, WWE guys were tweeting about it. Like they all watch it, man. They're all friends, through the thing.
And I'm gonna tell you something, man. It's not only Triple H, man. It's the owners of the UFC. That company pushing, because that's the same type of mindset that UFC had with Bellator.
It is, but also I think they understand. They're letting Nick and Triple H and Sean and the people that understand the wrestling part do it. Like they're going to them being like, this is what we need to do, and they're saying that's what we need to do. Yes, okay, then do it. Just like
they're telling them, hey, look, we want to do this. Right. And then Triple H and Khan are like, hold on a second, let's put our wrestling knowledge into it to make it make sense and work correctly. And then they'll just sit back and be like, you see, our idea was right, and you just put it all together. You just put the puzzle all together for us. But that was right. Because I'll never forget, I'll give you this example. When the UFC was going, there was a company called Elite XC, I think it was called Elite XC.
There was Elite XC. There was
Pride. There was a Strike Force. There was Pride. And what did the UFC do? They started taking all these guys one by one and knocking
they let those guys build people up, and then UFC would pluck them when they got built up.
They didn't do that.
And then they pluck them.
They didn't do that on purpose, though. They didn't do it on purpose, letting them build up. Those companies actually did a very, very good job in developing good wrestlers,
but they
good fighters.
They watched the guys, and then we're like, "Oh, that guy's gonna be good. Pull him. Okay, that guy will be good. Take him."
And then once they saw that those companies were not making as much revenue as they were the heavy hitters. They're like, okay, now let's buy them out and let's go ahead and bring them over to our product, and it's gonna blow up. That's how the heavyweight all of a sudden became big in the UFC. They didn't have anybody in the UFC heavyweight.
The Pride people. the Pride heavyweights.
When you had Mauricio Shogun come over, when you had Vanderlei Silva come over, those guys, none of those guys are UFC products. All of those are guys from Pride. And it was crazy the way that they were able to bring them over. Similar to WWE trying to do this, where WWE can get as much fame with this. And watch out, man, TNA. If TNA surpasses AEW and then you start seeing AEW even diminish more, I know Khan has a lot of money, but it's just, for me, man, I don't see how a businessman, and I know his daddy has money, I just don't see how a businessman can keep going with a business for many years losing revenue. It just makes no sense.
No, but I mean, there's businesses that write businesses off as
correct, but
the tax write-offs.
No,
I don't know how that works. I'm not smart enough in the business end of it. But also, the thing is, like, I don't even know that it's Tony Khan that you have to worry about at that point. I think it starts getting into all the talent. Like, you start doubting yourself. Like, wait a minute.
The talent starts questioning the product.
Not only that, but here's the thing, and this is the funny part with AEW. Like with WWE, I can look at it and go, oh, Ricochet didn't get just due because WWE doesn't like that type of performer. If you don't succeed in AEW, is it really AEW's fault?
Yes and no.
Go ahead, explain. Let me hear your yes or no.
Okay, so you're saying, hey, if a wrestler doesn't succeed in AEW, is it AEW's fault or the wrestler's fault? Is what you're trying to tell me, right? That's what you're asking me.
It's a question.
Then asking me. So the reason I feel that yes and no is because AEW gives their wrestlers a lot of autonomy when it comes to their character.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a wrestler and I'm making my way to AEW, I know I have to build myself. AEW is not going to build me as much. Now, that doesn't mean that AEW is also going to be like, Frank, 100% is on you. AEW, I feel, has to go ahead and put the right pieces in order for you to be able to stand out. A perfect example is like Ethan Page. Ethan Page, his character was very good. The problem is, I think what they did in AEW is they probably put him with the wrong opponents to go up against him. They probably didn't showcase him in the right shows. They probably put him at the beginning of the show instead of putting in the middle of the show. Little minor things like that affects the wrestler. So at the end, I'm like, okay, it sucks because you see the potential, you see the ability of the wrestler and his character, but at the same time, you're getting held back a little bit because AEW is not giving me all, like, I don't have AEW's investment. They're not pushing me to where I could honestly be like blow up. Some certain guys they do, certain guys they don't, and I just feel like
then Tony Khan doesn't live by what he says. Then, right?
Why? What does Tony Khan typically?
Because he says they have every one of their performers back.
But we know that's not true. Come on, man. We were just talking about it a couple minutes ago when we were saying that's all the guys from during the COVID days that they left. They were left high and dry.
Look,
they
man,
were.
I get that. What I'm trying to get to is that with AEW, though, if I'm in charge of my character development and I'm in charge of, then I'm also, again, if I have more control, this is where I look at like your Chris Jerichos. And this is also where I look at your private parties. Private party, just they've gone from a diamond to coal because they'll do whatever. They're just happy to have a job. It feels like to me. Again, I'm going off of what I see because they've gone through so many different things to just stay on TV that Chris Jericho reinvents himself every time. Sometimes not good, sometimes better, sometimes however you want to look at it. But when you look at even John Moxley, I mean, he reinvents himself by cutting his hair. Like that, little things like that. I mean, how many times do we got to get the Blackpool Combat Club? And it's like,
but every wrestler and every person is different. When you leave,
but if you have creative control, then you have you have the ability to say no. I don't think that's good for what we're trying to build. And you have the work. Again, in WWE, it's, you don't want to do that? Okay, I got somebody else to do it. We'll let your contract expire. You'll get fired, or we'll fire you now.
Yeah,
In AEW, they do work with them a little bit more to where I think, like, if you speak up at some point, if you're just not there just to be there, like, I feel like you're going to, it's on you at that point. Like,
well, I'll play devil's advocate here because yes and no. Because number one, whenever you jump into a new company, and whether it be wrestling or whether you're doing a regular 9 to 5 job,
uh-huh.
you're highly motivated, right? You just got you're into this new company, you want to get promoted, you want to be successful. They sell you a dream, you just got paid, everything looks beautiful, fine and dandy. So when somebody, let's say AEW, go ahead and offers you, hey, look, Frankie, we want to give you this character where you're gonna be in charge of being with Orange Cassidy. I'm gonna trust AEW that they're doing me well. Although I might not agree, I'll be like, man, it might not be the best, but sometimes out of the blue, certain things start to work out, and maybe something happens where it actually works. Look at the learning tree. That crap, who would have ever thought that that actually was gonna stick, and now it is. You
Well,
understand me?
I think
I'm gonna
Jericho knew it was going to work because the
true.
way he was reading the crowd, like, he understood. Okay, again, he was oversaturating him wrestling. Like, it was getting tiring. It was
Yeah,
tiring to watch him wrestle, and then he's like, "All right, I'm just going to be a wise ass." And
but let me ask you this: Big Bill,
yep.
was it Big Bill's decision to join the learning tree? Was that him creative wise asking, yo, I want to be part of the learning tree, or Chris Jericho saying, yo,
Well, I
I
know
want
he took the creative step to say him and Ricky Starks were not a tag team anymore. Him and Ricky both decided on that. Now, I don't know if he went and said, "Let me go and be that." That area I cannot answer you. I don't know.
so then look what ended up happening. Now Big Bill is going ahead and saying, hey, I mean, let's say for example, he does go, it could have gone either way. It could have been Big Bill saying, hey, look, I want to join the learning tree. It could have been the way where Chris Jericho says, hey, let me bring this guy over to be with me. Or it could have been AEW said, hey, you know what, Big Bill, I think you and Chris Jericho can make a good, team together and this could work. So that's why when you go into one of these companies and you all of a sudden, I just got into this company. I'm gonna trust the company. I'm gonna trust Tony Khan. I'm gonna trust creative writing that they mean well
Mm.
for me and that they want to go ahead. And again, I'm not a wrestler and I've never
Yeah,
been in the wrestling world,
that's
but
where I think you going in, like again, a 9 to 5 or something like that.
uh-huh.
You you might know, depending on if you know somebody at that company, what to expect. But
Okay.
as a wrestler, if you're paying attention to your craft and you're watching the product, you're watching what's happening and you're talking to people that are already there. Like,
Okay,
it's not
so
like
when
you're going to this like blind and then like, oh, I get it. You're going to go in, you're going to be more motivated day 1 than day 50. I understand that end of it. But again, when you go in, you're an independent contractor. So when you're signing up, it's like, hey, this is what I expect. This is what I want. This is what we'll give you. And you figure out, the way you want to go with the development of the characters. But to me, again, the reason I say that it's more, again, maybe it's not 100%. That's probably accurate, but there is more onus on the performer in AEW than there is on the performer in WWE.
I get, I mean, you're right because AEW gets more, they give more creative,
Yeah.
to the wrestler. He's more responsible for it than in the WWE world. But see what I mean though. But okay, I understand where you came from when it comes to like, hey, when you're going into a new job. But let's say for example, let's see myself right now. I'm working for a company. I if you guys don't know, I work for an insurance world. So I work for a particular company. But if I was to jump from this particular company to another insurance company, your your same type of way of looking at it. Hey, as a wrestler, I'm an independent contractor. I already have an idea of what I'm looking for and all that stuff. It's the same thing. I already have an idea of what to expect, and I can see the writing in the wall when it comes
No,
to
no.
that new
But what I'm
company.
saying though is that you are watching live on TV the creative direction of the company. You're watching week in and week out. When you're going to another, insurance company or something, you don't necessarily know every one of their visions. You don't know their creative or anything like that, other than what, commercials on TV.
True. But
So
when
you don't
but
know.
when
I
you
mean,
get
you don't
but
have an
when you
idea
get
if you know people is what I'm saying. Whereas with wrestling, you get an idea of who Tony Khan is by watching the product. You
yeah,
know
but
who you're going to be
but
working.
wait, hold on. If you're a wrestler
Yep.
and you're deciding whether you want to go to AEW or not, you're gonna contact
I'm not
your
saying
your other
I'm
friends
not
that
saying you're trying to make a decision between AEW and WWE here. I'm saying is that when you look at like as a performer, to me, more issue is to blame on a performer at AEW than there is at WWE. That's all I'm trying to say. Because at AEW, you do have, at least what everybody says, more free creative freedom. I get it, it's not 100% yes, you have to rely on there, but at least you get input. Like in WWE, you might have maybe now it's changed a lot more than what it was, but you really didn't have input. I mean, my God, he made,
unless you're a big guy, unless you're the big
yeah, I guess maybe like your Cena or something and things
Yeah.
like that. But I mean, you had no say. It was like, you're doing this. I don't think that's, you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no like, okay, I'll make the best.
but
I'll make the best of wearing polka dots.
but they
I'll
would
make the best of doing this. I'll make the best of, that's how it went in WWE. Whereas in AEW, you're going there to, if you have creative freedom, you should be walking in with an idea of, okay, what's, or even before you sign, it should be like, let me see some creative of what plans you have for me before I sign. If you're that high on me and you want to sign me, then you should have something for me. You don't have anything for me? Well, then that's not a good start. And I'm not saying I got to be in the title picture, but you should have an idea like, hey, we're going to bring you in. You're going to feud with, with Hook at the beginning. Okay. All right. There's a plan. But if you could, we're just going to bring you in. You're going to do a couple vignettes and then we'll figure it out.
No, yeah, you wouldn't make it.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, but again, that's whereas in WWE it was, hey, here's the costume you're going to do. Hey, what, you can throw up on command? Oh, we're going to call you Puke.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, like,
I mean, if you and this might sound stupid, but if you've played the WWE video game, it's pretty much what you're talking about, where there's a storyline and you get to pick and choose what storylines they have. Like the story mode on the video game tells you, hey, Frankie, you as the wrestler, hey, I got a wrestling match up next against Ricochet. And then you pick and choose if you want to do that or if you want to go to one of the indie shows and perform over there and do something on that side. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
But all right, man, tell them how they can see your show tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
And going on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you, bro. Wednesday nights, 8:00. I usually make it on time. I'm sorry I missed this.
He doesn't sleep through that show. Don't worry, he's not late on that one.
I'm
He's usually on time for that show.
I guess you could say I'm a slacker on this one because I know Sean is the one that kind of holds it down here more than I do. But no, at the end of the day, 8:00. Let me talk to you. Me and my brother. We talk about other stuff. We're gonna talk about tomorrow about the Madden cover. And I posted it. I put a stamp on it.
I saw it.
Should Tua or Tyreek Hill? I'm adding Tyreek Hill on this. Should one of those two have been in the front cover of the Madden? And let's put the curse outside. Obviously we don't want the dog. They typically say that whoever's in the Madden cover gets cursed but let's say that didn't exist. Do you think Tua or Tyreek should have gotten the Madden cover ahead of Christian McCaffrey? I think they should have. I think numbers speak for themselves. Both of those guys should have been over Christian McCaffrey. I don't know how they made the decision that Christian McCaffrey deserved to be the cover of Madden, but we're gonna talk about that. And we'll talk a little bit about the Panthers. We'll talk a little bit about NXT. We'll recap NXT. And then we'll also go ahead and have some conversation about the NBA and some other, maybe even WNBA, with Caitlyn not being kind of pushed out of the women's Olympic team. That was kind of messed up too. So we'll talk about all that. Me and my brother. Let me talk to you 8 p.m. on the Frankie Fresco channel. And you can follow me on all social media platforms on Fresco Music. And then again, my channel, again, Frankie Fresco, 8:00. And if you want to be a guest, let me know. I'll always have. We had 2 ladies last week. It was entertaining. 2 ladies made it. My sister Paola and my friend Stephanie. She was in they kind of put in their input of the Caitlin Clark situation last week. So it was fun having women. I might have women more often. I'm thinking about
I
that.
like that view. I like that view.
And you know what's
They
crazy
can
is that
talk sports with the best of them.
me and my brother were talking about it, and it might sound like we're copying, but whatever, I don't care. Like First Take and back in the day when Undisputed was actually pretty decent, they always had a moderator, and the moderator was a woman. So
Yeah,
I
but they
was
didn't
thinking,
let them speak enough, though. I didn't like that.
correct.
They
But
just had them like, so Shannon, what do you think of this? Go.
yeah, but Molly Karen says quite a few
No,
things
they'll
in
jump
this one.
in with a little bit. But I like it more when you get, like, to me, look, man, whatever you want to talk about it, but I used to like when Joy was down here on the radio,
That was
and you
another
got
one.
that end of it, and then also Amber more recently, and I just feel like it gives a little bit. And again, they talk about it smartly. It's not like you just throw a female on there to have a female on there. They can speak, about whatever sport it is. I mean, we have Alex talk soccer all the time. I mean, she's fantastic and things like that. I mean, like it adds a lot more to it.
Maybe we should do that, Sean, with the squared circle. Maybe we should bring a lady to get a lady's perspective in the wrestling world, man. I think that's a good idea.
I'll replace you in a heartbeat. You don't show up on time anyways.
All right, it is what it is. I can't. I gotta take the fall. Like if you replace me, it is what it is. I keep coming late, and I really apologize. And no doubt, for sure, bro, you have been locked in for the past 3 hours. I appreciate it, bro. We appreciate it. I know we've been going for 3 hours. That's my fault.
I said this is gonna be a short show, but I didn't realize
It's because I came late.
and then I have to redo all my stuff.
It's because I came late, so I keep talking, and I feel like I just got into the show, and you've been
no, that's the thing. We get into it, and then of course we got the great chat. We want to thank No Doubt, Cap for Life. Who else we got? Terry, I know, is in there. Josh, as always. I saw
EA Minutes.
Jeff Calderon was in there. We had EA Minutes in there again. My dad was in there.
Who is
Vamos Gatos 89 was on
with
with us
that?
earlier.
Shout out to him.
Appreciate all you guys and everybody listening to us on X and watching on X. We appreciate you. And again, we ask if you can, please, with the support, just jump over to YouTube. Stanley Media House Network on YouTube, or Frankie Fresco on YouTube, or both, please. Hit one, jump over to the other. Hit the subscribe. We appreciate it. And then you can follow me on X, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Sean_Stanley11. And then, of course, Stanley Media House on Facebook and YouTube. We'll have some more things going out. I'm going to change up the way I did them. I was breaking down the shows after watching them. From now on, I'm going to stop that, because if you watch the show, you know what happened. So I'm going to start looking for different stories coming out of the show, and then that's going to be my recap. I'm not going to sit and recap each show. It just gets too tedious, and everybody already saw the same show. So I'm going to recap stories coming out of each show going forward. And also, we've got NBC taking over on the NASCAR side. So now they'll be taking over. But no more Dale Jr., by the way. He's out. He's going to Peacock, or one of them, when they pick up racing. And then I've got more sports coming to you once after the pan. I didn't want to jump in during all the final stuff. I'm going to wait, start fresh once Dolphin season starts up. We will be talking sports as well continuously after that. Once the Dolphins start, then I'm going to start doing the sports talk more than what I'm doing now. So I appreciate you all. Again, it's Sean_Stanley11, X, IG, Threads, and TikTok. Stanley Media House, Facebook, and YouTube. If you can, please jump over. Stanley Media House Network, YouTube. Hit the subscribe. Frankie Fresco, YouTube. Hit the subscribe. Don't forget Frankie tomorrow, 8 o'clock with his brother. Let me talk to you now for the great Frankie Fresco. I'm Sean Stanley. And in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.